Hi, welcome back to the Timesink Anime Podcast. I'm Rex, and this is JT.
Sup, everybody?
Summer is officially over, and I am in a blanket for the first time in 3 months on my couch.
Yeah, it's actually starting to get a little chilly out.
Oh my god, I'm so done. So done with the heat.
Yeah, I was glad to have the heat away too, now that we're actually out of Hawaii, which that was oppressive heat.
Yeah, so we had a lot of good shows this season. We watched, we're talking about 12 shows today. We're doing a review of all the stuff we watched over the past summer season. There was some good stuff, some not so good stuff.
Yeah, and some stuff that ultimately surprised and or disappointed us.
Yeah, so we didn't end up doing one of our normal episodes for the past 3 weeks. We talked about that in our preview. But we're going to jump into this episode by first going over pretty much the endings of all the shows we were watching. Yeah,
we're going to do basically quick recaps of the events of the past 3, sometimes 4 episodes of shows.
And then we're going to give our final score after we're done talking about that show.
Yep.
So, to jump into it, first we're going to start off with Angolmois.
Alright, what did you think about this show? Because I finished it before you did. So.
Yeah, so the ending, I did not expect that many deaths.
Yeah, I knew there were going to be quite a few, to be honest. It was just setting up to be, I think, that having that many deaths. From the beginning, I had expected it to be like a lot of people would die or everyone would die just as backup was showing up.
Yeah. And it turns out backup didn't show up at all.
Oh god, that was upsetting.
I was like, because every week when we were watching the show, we were just thinking, when's the backup going to show up? Surely it's been 2 nights, right?
2, 3 nights? Didn't he say they should be there in 3 days?
In Jinzaburo, the tragic thing is Jinzaburo told all these people, yes, backup's going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then so many people just ended up dying waiting for backup that never arrived.
Yeah. So, in regards to the deaths, which death do you think was the most upsetting or disappointing?
Oh man. Probably the So Clan, the bow guy?
I know what you're talking about, the hunter. Right?
No. Back when they were on the cliff side.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Now I remember. I forget his name too. But yeah, that was pretty upsetting, especially after he had been such an asshole up to that point.
Was it Yuki or something?
Yajiro, I think. I'm pretty sure it was Yajiro.
But yeah, he had his big moment, and I was like, all right, they're gonna work together. And I think that was the beginning of the downward spiral of stuff going wrong in that show.
For me, the most upsetting part was we had thought that I want to say in episode 11 we thought that Teruhi was going to die or Teruhi was dead, and what the events leading up to that, because her bodyguard, I think her name was Kano, had basically started to had started to strangle her, and at that point I was just super upset because the only wish she had was just to see Jinzaburo one more time, and she was actually begging Kano, please don't do this, I want to see him one more time.
Yeah, I actually thought that she was just strangling her to prevent her from being raped. She's like, you're gonna I don't want you to be taken by these people, so I'll kill you with my own hands.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard moment, but then turns out Teruhi's okay. She was alive, and
okay is
okay, or rather,
she's alive.
She's alive, and she survived, which ultimately was her goal to begin with.
Yeah, because that's the emperor.
Yeah,
he's as long as one person survives, then we win.
Yeah, exactly. And the 2 most important people in this show, Jinzaburo and Teruhi, both survived, which I was happy for. Jinzaburo had a moment where I thought he wasn't going to make it either.
But magical whale.
Yeah, magical whale god.
It might have been the Emperor? Or the Toiburai?
Yeah, something like that. It was some god they worshipped, I think. Or at least the manifestation of it. Some kind of Deus Ex Machina sort of stuff. Basically, it might even been just a hallucination. It was just basically his will to live and keep fighting that kind of made him cut. It was in a really cool scene. He was sinking beneath the water. And then he had memories of his daughter, which we finally get explained about, which was she had wanted to plant a persimmon tree in their garden he basically said, "All right, I'll let you keep the persimmon tree."
Well, no, wait. First, he was like, he goes over and he's like, "No planting trees in our temple or palace." And he like picks it up. And he's like, "Don't let the girl play with dirt."
Mm-hmm. And then, but then when she keeps planting it, and then he wanted to basically teach her a lesson and say, "All right, if you can show me that you're willing to protect this day in and day out, then I'll let you keep the tree." And she does. And then bandits and stuff show up, try to raid the temple, and then he basically looks at her and says, "You see, this is why we can't have trees in here." And
he still lets her have it.
Yeah, he still lets her have it because she was willing to show that she was willing to protect it life and limb. And it was that kind of ultimately had Jinzaburo's will to fight and try to protect even a place that was doomed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's like, I think the line was like, "I'll try my best."
Yeah.
I think he said that a few times before, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That line.
Yeah.
But did they actually ever show how his family died?
I don't think so. I think that is left somewhat in a mystery.
Yeah.
But
maybe for season 2.
Yes, they're sequel baiting pretty heavily with this one, and I wouldn't be against that because I really like these characters and I liked this story.
I liked all the characters that died. Or most of them anyway.
Like Onitaki Maru.
Yeah. He was an honorable bastard.
Yeah, unlike the other guy who tried to convince Onitaki Maru to leave.
Oh yeah, so we don't know if they actually got away.
Onitaki Maru did not. He was killed. Yeah,
I know, but I wonder... Oh yeah, the merchant guy, I wonder what happened to him.
Yeah.
If Onitaki Maru came back.
I also thought that the death of the bowman, the hunter from the Exile clan, his death was a pretty awesome one because he was taking out as many people as he could, even trying to say that it's like, oh, those weapons are useless. They take too long to load. They take a while to fire. Oh, and they have the tendency to blow up.
Just blew up on the guy's shoulder.
It's like, man, they are the literal worst. Nothing beats a bow.
The bow is the best. And proceeds to get killed by bows.
But he dies with a smile on his face because it just proved his point. But yeah, that was a cool moment and a pretty sad death in the end too. But anyway, that's all I.
Also, the boy. The scout boy? Amushi, yeah, that was really cool how he goes over and the kids are about to be found and he throws the bomb in the fire.
And then he does like some ninja crap.
Yeah, right? I was like, oh man, he's badass. He's going to get out of this alive. And then he just gets stabbed in the back with a spear.
Yeah. Was it stabbed or was he shot with an arrow?
He was stabbed.
Okay, he was stabbed.
Some guy just like poked him in the back and then he like got stabbed and fell over the cliff.
And then
Sana.
And then Sana went over to go find him and try to get him out of the water. It looked like he was sinking. So
that's fate, left up in the air.
So yeah, his fate is ultimately ambiguous. I don't want Amushi to die.
Yeah, because that was like the most pure relationship in the show was Sana and Amushi.
Yeah, it was just two kids trying to basically survive in this hellscape. But yeah, I really loved this show. Like, I think it was a good show. I think there were some things that were kind of left and dropped the ball on, like the foreign guy at the beginning. We never see him again until like the last episode, like the last couple minutes of the last episode.
Friend.
No, not just Jinzaburo's friend. I'm talking about the guy, like the foreign kid who was working with the Mongols, who did the epic backflip on.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't show up until the very end, and I was like, wait, what? Now he's going to show up? We're never going to see him planning or anything. Maybe he's a more important character as the series goes on, but it just felt like a sort of missed opportunity there.
Yeah, to put him in a little more.
But
I have a really big complaint about the show, actually.
Oh, yeah?
I loved it overall, but they had a really big problem in the show of using a lot of still frames for fights.
Yeah.
Like, there would just be, like, someone getting cut with a sword, and it would just show, like, a still frame of them being cut and being going, like, like, frozen in time, and it would use a lot of those throughout the fights.
Yeah.
When they actually did show the fight scenes, they were really cool. Like, the fight with Jinzaburo and the foreign guy.
Yeah.
Where Jinzaburo, like, uses his sword and, like, the broken part of the spear from Onitaki.
Oh yeah, no, that was the Mongol vice general. That was an awesome fight, actually, too.
Wait, who's the foreign guy?
The foreign guy, the one I'm thinking of, is the one with blonde hair.
Oh yeah, forgot about him.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. But the vice marshal, that was an awesome fight, and there's actually something I want to say about that fight in particular. During that fight when Jinzaburo was fighting and then actually managed to, like, kick him to the ground and there was all these soldiers around, Like, he just walked up to him.
Yeah,
and all the soldiers were just so afraid.
It was a domino effect, probably.
Yeah.
Like, you get one guy who's really close to him who backs up a little bit, which means someone behind him backs up a little bit, and it just goes all the way back.
And that was just such a cool scene.
Yeah. Like, all the soldiers are just like, hey, we don't want nothing to do with this.
But he leaves the vice marshal there to live. Fun fact as well, the vice marshal was voiced by the same guy that voices Dio in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh yeah,
which is why that.
What if they asked him to do the re thing?
Yeah, that wouldn't have surprised me in the least. But I agree. The occasional use of still frames did kind of hamper some of the better action scenes in this. But it felt like it was more of a little bit more of a character drama at times, which was also pretty cool. But yeah, I would have liked to see more fluid animated action sequences.
Yeah. So overall, what do you give the score for this show? So just to let everybody know, we're doing a 1 through 10 system, or 0 through 10, I guess, system.
Yeah, based on the My Anime List metric. With 5 being average, and everything below 5 being bad, and everything above 5 being good. For me, I'd give this about a 7.5. I'd say 7.5 based on all this, because I think it was a good show. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was anything amazing, but I enjoyed my time watching it. I think that there was a lot of really good storytelling moments, and a lot of really cool action scenes when they actually allowed themselves to be animated. But I'd say that it's nothing. It was nothing above a 7.5 for me. So I wouldn't say it's great or a masterpiece. Even I'd just say it was a good experience, and that's all I was expecting from this. How about yourself? I would give it a 7. 7?
Yeah,
just solid 7.
Yeah, solid 7 because you pretty much said it all right there. When the fights were fights, they were cool. When they weren't, they were disappointing because of the still frames. Mm-hmm. All the storytelling was really engaging, and just the way Jinzaburo interacted with other people. Loved Jinzaburo as a character.
Yeah,
I never felt there were any moments where he was falling flat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like you said, it wasn't amazing, but it was a solid, good show. Yeah,
that's all I was hoping for. Yeah. So next up is.
Asobi Asobase.
Okay, what a roller coaster this workshop of fun has been. It's the name of the show! Name drop! Anyway, but I think that this show had just been a lot of fun all around. Like, let's talk about some of the skits that had happened in the most recent episodes first. The skit with Daniel.
Oh, yeah, Daniel-san, the baby.
Yeah, Daniel-san. I actually imagine, like, Mr. Miyagi showing up. But no, but Daniel was just this little baby, and everybody's like, oh, he's so cute, he's such a little baby, look at his fat face, he's so precious. Turns out, no, he is not.
He's an evil little piece of garbage.
Yeah, like, he's all groping Kasumi. Like,
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and then everybody was trying to say, oh, but he's just a baby. And eventually, like, I think it was either Olivia or Hanako who said, I'm getting so sick of hearing that. Just, oh, he's a baby. Anytime he does something. He actually starts smoking a cigar or something at one point, or looking like he's smoking a cigar.
He looks like a mob boss or something.
They actually acknowledge that this kid looks like a mob boss. Mm-hmm. But, I think that the best part of the show was just seeing all these girls, like, form this club that really had no reason to exist.
Yeah, and like we said in the beginning, it's essentially It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But with the high school girls.
Exactly. But I had a lot of fun with this show. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a bunch of skits that were funny. I liked near the end where they were saying, like, when they were making the movie, and they're like, Asobi Asobase Season 2. And they're like, wait, why are you calling it Season 2? We haven't even made the first one. We haven't finished that yet.
That's like,
I don't know, there might be a Season 2.
That's almost a reference to Spaceballs, because...
Oh, yeah. Spaceballs the sequel.
Yeah, or, it was actually, I was thinking, fetch me a copy of Spaceballs the movie. How are we going to get a copy of Spaceballs the movie? We're still making it!
It was wasn't it like a Star Wars?
It was a Star Wars poster.
Yeah.
It was like a complete rip-off of a Star Wars poster because Kasumi wanted to direct a sci-fi movie after only seeing a single sci-fi movie, but she didn't even know.
It was Star Trek, I think.
Yeah, she watched an episode of Star Trek, and that made her convinced that I can do that. Yeah. There's always that one person that thinks that they can just do...
Hey, listen to my Peter Griffin voice. It's a Peter Griffin voice.
Oh, God. That was cringeworthy, folks.
But yeah, like that.
That was all a lot of fun. I think that they actually managed to keep introducing characters that were still hilarious. Like the vice president of the student council.
Yeah.
She
just looks like a tiny-eyed weirdo when she doesn't have her makeup on.
Yeah, but when she has her makeup, she's like one of the most beautiful girls ever.
Like an idol-looking girl.
Yeah. And then actually bringing back characters, like reoccurring characters, I thought it was hilarious how we kept getting proven wrong that characters were reoccurring.
It didn't seem like the kind of show.
But
it had a surprisingly centralized plot.
Yeah, it had one of the best returns of a character I think I'd seen in a while in the episode when they were playing that mobile game. Which they thought it was just like fairy tale. They thought it was just like fairy tale fun or whatever. But then it turns out it's like a bloody like battle royale type game.
PUBG,
yeah,
with rabbits and
and
cute animals.
And like all the girls are traumatized except for Olivia because she had known this and didn't tell the other.
It's fun.
And it turns out that the other team they're playing against was the Shogi Club, and
back full circle.
And the Shogi Club president was beating the ever-loving shit out of them while she was covered up in bandages and stuff, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, that show was a lot of fun.
But yeah, I stand by saying that the opening as well just really set up the worst expectations possible. It was such a happy little thing, but then
they're so cute, and you're gonna have fun together. I mean, like I knew what the show was about before I watched it. I knew it was supposed to be kind of about terrible people.
But exactly, but the opening is a complete lie, and
it's a joke in and of itself.
Exactly. Which I looked into it a little bit. The entire opening is filled with yellow lilies, I think, and yellow lilies in the language of flowers is supposed to mean deception or lying. So the intro is telling you in itself. This is a lie.
Warning.
This is a complete and total lie. But enough rambling about this show because because there isn't a whole lot to talk about. If you've been watching the show, then it's just one of those things with most gag shows, I find, things that aren't particularly plot-centric, it's just, you have to have watched them.
Yeah.
So
it's like explaining a joke to somebody.
It loses its punch. Exactly. But anyway, so your rating for this show?
I'd give it an 8. I
would also give it an 8.
It had me butt-gusting laughing over most of the show.
Yeah, I agree. It was exactly what I wanted from a comedy show. Like, everything in the show was great, just like the expressions, how it went from like deadpan to like cutesy pastel coloring to like utterly terrifying.
Yeah, with melty Hanako face.
Yeah,
I want a boyfriend.
Or, yeah, even little things like that, and just introducing all these really fun characters and just keep bringing them back. And the joke of, there might be a season 2. Yeah. I really want there to be a season 2 of this, because I had a lot of fun watching this.
More Detective Conan references.
Yeah, more Detective Conan references, more kind of pervy teacher, but not really. They're suspicious of him being pervy. Will we find out if Alzora is actually a girl or not? Yeah. Who knows? But anyway, I'd have to say, at the end of the day, it's an 8 for me. All right.
So next up is Attack on Titan Season 3.
Or rather, at least the first half of it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's continuing.
Yep, it is. This is a 2-core show. But we're going to give it our preliminary rating just as part of last season. If our rating changes as far as the second half goes, we'll make note of that in the future. But for now,
so the final 3 episodes were Eren getting rescued by Squad Levi and Historia, Rod Rice licking up
the spinal
fluid, and then them beating Rod Rice, Titan, and placing Historia as queen.
Yep. Now, can we just say that Rod Rice Titan holy crap, is that thing disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like a worm. It's just...
Yeah, like a caterpillar. He's like slowly crawling along. So what I think happened is that, you know, they always have like a needle and they're supposed to inject it into their bloodstream. By licking it up, he probably just turned into a goofy
malform. Yeah, like a
Titan.
I think that somebody actually addressed that. Like, I think Kenny did actually. Somebody did address that. Yeah, the way that that he had consumed the spinal fluid had turned him into that malformed, disgusting thing. But what was even scarier is this thing was supposed to be bigger than the Colossal Titan, like at least twice the size, I think I remember somebody saying, of the Colossal Titan. But because it was so massive and it wasn't a properly developed Titan, it just had to drag its face along the ground.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder what would have happened if someone had injected it and it became a perfect version of that.
Oh, God, that'd be horrifying. But, we had a lot of really cool moments in this in these past few episodes. I think one of the best moments for me was Aaron finally getting out of his slump, realizing, it hasn't always been me. Like, I've been trying to make myself seem like the hero and stuff like that. But no, really, it hasn't been just me. It's been everyone around me that has helped bring me to this point. And him getting that kind of determination to move forward again was really cool, because he had been suffering from survivor's guilt and stuff like that.
Yeah, ever since the cave.
Yeah, which, seeing him resolve through that and actually turn into his Titan form, and then running up with the bag of explosives and throwing them into the raw rice Titan Bell. Oh man, it was so cool. And then it exploding. And then the coolest thing that really cemented Historia as... I'm pretty sure her arc is concluded at this point, which is a shame because I liked Historia's arc, but you need to close the circle somewhere. But Historia finding the piece of flesh where Rod Rice's body is, so that she could slice at the nape of the neck and kill him. Yeah,
because she told Erwin that, like, I can't just sit back. No one's going to accept me as queen that way. I have to be the one that deals the final blow and saves everybody.
And then he said, well, there's no way I can really stop you now, is there?
He probably thought that, like, there's no way she's going to be able to do that in all this chaos. And then Rod Rice, the little carved out piece of the nape just flying through the air, and she does like a sweet, like, aerial flip and cuts him right in the neck. As soon as she makes contact with her sword, it actually, like...
screams.
It shoots the memories into her head of, like, her sister and family and stuff like that.
And then she crashes into a mine or into a shopping cart. Everybody looks at her, like, did that little girl really just deal the final blow? Yeah. And then she stands up all triumphantly and proud. It's like, yes, I am the true queen of the walls. Historia race.
Bow to your queen!
And then everybody starts cheering. And then they were looking at her saying... Because earlier when they were all talking on the wall, it's like, if we survive this, you can punch Levi, and he won't be able to do a thing about it. And then she resolves to do that and gives this little sissy punch.
But, and Levi smiles!
Yeah, which was a relief to see, because I don't think we'd ever seen him smile at this point.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and then we also get the resolution with Kenny.
Yeah, and we also see, like, Levi and Kenny's backstory, too.
Yeah. Which, finding out where Levi came from and how that was his uncle.
Mm-hmm. How he's an Ackerman.
Yeah.
So Kenny's an Ackerman, Mikasa's an Ackerman, Levi's an Ackerman.
Yep. And then we get to see, I think that Levi actually puts Kenny out of his misery, because at that point, Kenny's dream had slipped through his grasp.
Kenny just dies.
Yeah.
He's just laying there and he just dies.
Yeah. Which we actually get to find out what Kenny's dream was, and it was basically just to become powerful enough to stand along, to basically achieve true serenity. Because the previous king had that. Mm-hmm. He was somebody who was, in his mind, was so powerful that he had like this air of calm and serene.
Yeah, 'cause he had nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
He was so strong.
And Kenny had just wanted that. He wanted to have that degree of power. Even somebody who was just lowborn scum like him might have a chance at serenity and not having to worry about stuff like that. Which was actually kind of sad and made him strangely relatable at the end. He wasn't just some mass-murdering lunatic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was. but he was a relatable mass murdering.
Yeah, he wasn't... Well, that's what I mean. He wasn't just that. Yeah, he wasn't just somebody who killed just for the sake of killing because he thought it was fun.
Yeah, like, I don't agree with everything he did, but I can see his point of view.
Yeah, it's sort of like figuring out why the Joker is the way he is in The Killing Joke. Like, you actually find out... If you've never read or aren't familiar with it, it's a great story, and it ultimately gives insight into why the Joker is the way he is, and kind of gives a method to the madness, so to speak. And that's all really cool. This is a really good first half of the season.
Mm-hmm. The part where the Red Rice Titan, like, stands up.
And you don't see his face?
Yeah.
Because he, like, scraped it off.
Yeah, he was dragging it across the ground for, I'm assuming, hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he's just like, ah! Like, that was really cool and freaky looking. Just the finale of, like, the bomb tossing in was just awesome.
Yeah, and then I'm looking forward to the next half of this cour because I imagine they're going to try to take back Wall Maria. Yeah,
because they finally got the hardening power working now. So, tentatively review. What's your review?
I'd say that this is an 8 so far for me. Okay. I'd say that it's still a pretty solid show. Like, really good action scenes. Oh my god, the Levi escape bit was so good. There were other moments like that just scattered throughout. When Studio Wit really allows himself to just go, they go like all in.
Yeah, they go hard.
And it's so satisfying to see those action bits. I'd say that this is definitely an improvement over past seasons in my mind because we actually get to see more like political intrigue and stuff and better storytelling and character arcs and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's all really cool. So
a lot less action, more intrigue.
Which I've been waiting for. I think that the first season was basically just supposed to be an extended hook. Mm-hmm. And everything following that has just been introducing you more to this world and its characters, which is a welcome change of pace for me.
Yeah.
How about yourself? What did you rate it?
8. Yeah. Like you said, they have a lot less action scenes, but it felt like the quality of each action scene was a lot higher.
Yeah.
Like they just condensed the small parts and just made them really awesome. Mm-hmm. And then they filled the rest of the space out with like backstory and intrigue and behind the scenes of like the kingdom and because like earlier on we had the coup.
Yeah.
Where they ousted the crazy old man and all the people that were pretending to be...
Yeah.
Or pretending he was king.
Yeah, the false king.
Yeah, so... Yeah, definitely going to keep watching it this season, and... That's it. Moving on to our next show. What's that?
Banana Fish. Okay. So, with this first half, again, this is another carryover. So we're going to be continuing watching this as the fall 2018 continues. Mm-hmm. But so these last few episodes, all right, I had never been more happy to see a character die than Abraham Dawson in one of the more recent episodes. Like, just seeing what a pathetic person he truly was and just getting his just desserts, even after begging and pleading, no, don't do this to me, don't do this to me.
Yeah, like, don't hurt me after I hurt someone else.
After I hurt your best friend and made you kill him. No, I think he got exactly what he deserved.
Yep, the chest full of lead.
Yep, and Ash having to burn, like, his best friend's body and everything like that. Making sure
he escaped. AG and Ash escaped.
Yeah.
And then Ash went back in specifically to go burn Shorter's body.
Yep. And that must have been a really hard thing for Ash to do.
Yeah.
Because, again, that was his best friend, the person he had just shot in the chest not too long ago, but at the same... And he wanted to, like, probably give him a proper burial and stuff like that, or see that he did, but nope. I had to light his body on fire that way that nobody could ever touch him again.
Yeah, and then the Chinese gang leader comes in...
And is convinced that Ash killed him.
Yeah, challenges him, and Ash pretty much just shuts him down.
Yeah, he's like, I've basically what he says it comes down to, I've had a really bad day, alright? Don't fuck with me. I don't want to deal with this right now. I do not have time for this. And so, after that, we have a couple episodes of Ash and AG, like Ash meeting up with his old gang, AG being one of the only people... And AG being one of the only people who could wake Ash up without terrifying everybody.
Yeah. He's like, no, don't wake him up. He's going to kill you if you do that. And AG just, like, smacks him in the head, like, get up!
And then him just going, has it really been 2 hours already? Okay, fine.
Oh, yeah, I love that. When he just walks over to his bed, Wake me up in 2 hours.
Clap!
It just immediately falls asleep.
And then we find out a little bit about Ash's past, how he's afraid of pumpkins.
Oh, yeah. Eiji just fucks with him by putting pumpkins everywhere.
Yeah, and then his gang wearing pumpkins on their heads.
Yeah, it was nice seeing a moment where Ash wasn't having to stress about things.
Yeah, and I think that eBay had said something to that extent. Just when Ash was teaching Eiji how to shoot, it looked like they were just two kids having fun, pretty much. It was just like Ash was a kid again, because he'd been robbed of his childhood at that point. But then when he looked over and saw eBay staring at him, immediately went back on that cold killer's facade.
He went back on his defenses.
Yeah.
Like, he only really drops his guard when he's around Eiji.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to see more of that. You get to see Ash breaking down, crying at a few things, some of the things he's done. Ash going around on basically ordering his gang to go on a killing spree of a bunch of people that have sided with Arthur.
Yeah, we got the montage of Eiji staying at home, being a stay-at-home wife, pretty much.
Yeah, being basically the mob wife.
Yeah, and Ash going out, killing people, coming home, and Eiji's like, "Hey, how was your day?" He's like, "Yeah, it was alright." Did you kill anyone? And he's just like,
no.
No, where's my cocktail?
But meanwhile in all this, Ash realizes that Eiji and eBay cannot stick around for what's about to happen, because Ash is essentially going to be going up against the government at this point. Is what the second season, or the second half of the show is leading up to.
Well, he's going up against the mafia, who are contracted by the government.
Yeah, exactly. And it led to one of the cooler scenes when Ash steals a shit ton of money from Papa Godino.
He just Hackerman's away. He's like, "Oh yes, I'm stealing the money away," and he's just like typing on the computer, and he's like, "I just stole billions of yen."
Yeah, that was great. And then him just casually showing up after Dino's getting ready to go see his bosses, and he just shows up at the airport. It's just like, "Yo."
Yeah.
It was just an ultimate power play.
Yeah, because he knows that Dino can't
anything. Or won't do shit about it.
He can't. Like, his hands are tied about doing anything at that airport.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, the guard goes to shoot him, and Dino says, like, "No, not here. We can't do this."
Yeah, and then I thought it was also... And then it seems like we're finally building up to what the intro has been building up to a while. A fight between Arthur and Ash.
The intro fight looks really cool, the little clips of it. If it's actually going to be that fight, that sounds like it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, just like a knife fight between those two. Man, that is going to be such a cool fight, and that's something I'm looking forward to a lot.
Yeah, Arthur's an asshole.
Yeah, Arthur is an asshole.
Arthur's just a little, like, lapdog, pretty much.
Yeah, he's basically, from what I gather, he's basically what Dino wanted Ash to be.
Yeah, being at his beck and call. Pretty much.
But exactly. But meanwhile, Ash is a rebel, mm-hmm. And he says, "No, fuck this noise. I ain't doing this anymore." So what do you think about the show so far? What would you rate it?
So far, I would give the show a 9.
I would.
Like, it was just so good. Like, I didn't expect it to be this amazing. The drama, the action,
some of the plans that Ash and stuff comes up with.
Yeah,
some of them. The one on the truck being one of his dumbest moves.
Oh yeah, just drive a truck at him. It'll work. It's fine. I also want to point out the fact that this is one of the best shows that has yaoi in it that I've seen in a long time. Yeah. Because it's not a show... The genre isn't yaoi. The genre is like... action...
Yeah.
Like mob stuff.
Yeah.
And then also the characters happen to be gay.
Exactly. That I would agree with that. It's a really cool show, and the best part about it is this is originally a shoujo manga.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to be this enthralled by a shoujo manga. But I think the big part of it is it's kind of a critique on some shonen ai yaoi stuff that had been coming around in the late 80s, and it basically being a critique of that. And basically trying to show how some of these things, no, this is not okay. Yeah. Some of these things are pretty fucked up, actually. And actually trying to show that. But yeah, it is more focused on the characters themselves and actually building up the relationship between them, as well as just a kick-ass plot.
Yeah, it's such a good revenge story so far. Like, I loved how he... Like, he knew he couldn't just hide forever, mm-hmm. So he went and stole a bunch of Golzine's money, which wasn't actually Golzine's money.
Yeah.
It was the Mafia's money that Golzine was using. So he essentially paints a big target on Golzine's head that causes the Mafia to come after him. And just, I love all the smart things that Ash does, but also all the stupid things he does as well.
Yeah, because it is showing that, yes, at the end of the day, he's still a reckless teenager. He may be a prodigy, but he is still a reckless teenager.
Yeah. So, 9 for me. What about you?
I'd say much of the same. About a 9. Very tentatively 8.5. But I'd say, 9 for pretty much all the things that you've said. Lots of really good action, lots of really good character drama. And just overall, a really cool story. I'm looking forward to seeing how the second half of the show plays out.
So, what's next?
I don't know. What is next, Rex?
Chio's School Road.
Alright, so like we were saying with Asobi, this is definitely a show that we can't really go too much in depth about, because it's like explaining the joke. It just makes it bad.
So, centralized plot, we have pretty much Chio running into Ando. Well, I mean, the centralized plot was her going to school. That's what the show's about. But her running into Ando, quote-unquote, beating him up when she accidentally elbows him in the chin and knocks him out. And then he recurs a couple times. And then also Yuki.
Yuki.
Their popular classmate also shows a couple times. And it's just pretty much the antics of them. Of Chio trying to get to school, and then stuff happens.
Exactly. Also, so what I want to point out as well, one of the coolest things they did in one of the more recent episodes was the JoJo ass opening that they did.
Oh yeah, the sound effect opening. Oh, that's so good.
I remember you watched it, like you were watching it on like a car ride or something, and then you told me it's like there's a JoJo opening here, and I'm like, whoa, really? And then when I was looking forward to that when I actually saw it, I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's so good.
It was.
And the credits of the last episode. They did like a blooper reel.
Yeah, it was basically...
Like it was actually a show being recorded.
Yeah, that they were filming. And it was like, Chio, are you okay? When she like fucked up or fell.
Yeah. I think that was one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah, it was great.
I loved the interaction between Monona and Chio, how they're just like... It was kind of like Asobi, how they're kind of both crappy people, but they're more realistically crappy people.
Yeah, it's...
Like they're just friends that... mess with each other.
Exactly. That's one of the best parts about Chio School Road is just the interactions between Chio and Monona, I think, because everybody, like, if you ever have close friends, yes, there's going to be those friends that you torment relentlessly. Like that, but it's all in good fun, and you recognize that, and you're still friends at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that was always a lot of fun to see. And then Yuki, being the sweet summer child that she is, just one of the better skits was actually the skit with Monona thinking that her armpits might stink. Oh,
yeah. Monona just going back through her history in middle school thinking like, oh, there was a boy I liked, but he went out with somebody else instead, and her just fabricating this story of how Chio had smelly armpits and nobody hang out with her because Chio smelly
armpits. The mental gymnastics that Monona went through was actually kind of hilarious. And then it turning out the reason why Chio's armpit stank so bad was just because her dog was licking her. And
what was her dog's name again? Like Chop?
Yeah, it was Chop. And then, of course, her asking Yuki, just because she knows how, like, brutally honest she can be. Like, naive, but brutally honest still. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, she's like, so why did he date me? She's like, oh, he only dates pretty girls. I think she was trying to say that to, like, make her feel better somehow. Yeah. Okay. And then Monona's little thing is like, oh, Yuki, you cruel angel.
Yeah. I love that when Monona and Chio are together, if a bus comes by, someone's going to get thrown under that bus.
Exactly.
They always just, like, immediately throw each other under the bus in any situation.
Yeah, it's always funny just to see these girls play off each other, and the final skit being the three of them just basically running to school, going commando together.
Oh, yeah.
And basically saying, oh man, it's so liberating! Yeah. And then, of course, Kushitori showing up, and then it's, oh crap, we have to get out of here.
Yeah, sure. She is an interesting character that likes girls.
Interesting is one way to put it, sure.
Yeah, she learned everything she knows now from the creepy old molester guy.
Yeah. Ugh, God.
So, like, my favorite thing about the show is just Chio.
Yeah.
I just fell in love with Chio because she's such a goofy, relatable character, yeah. I think, because, like, when I went through school, I was super awkward, and I didn't try to fucking climb on buildings or anything, but
Yeah.
like, I just very relate to her of, like, when she, like, in the, like, first or second episode when she's walking up to Yuki,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh, she's waving at me, but she could be waving at someone else behind me, she could be waving at me, so I don't want to be rude and not pay attention to her, so she's like, there's only one option, jump in the trash! It's like, I can relate to overthinking things like that.
Yeah, just having social anxiety and stuff like that, and being an awkward teenager.
And she's adorable, too.
Yeah. I think that Chio was, again, most cute when she actually just, like, had her hair up in a ponytail.
Oh, yeah, when she's playing games.
Yeah.
Showing her true self.
Yeah. I
want to bring up the scene where she was playing, essentially Payday.
Yeah.
Online. And she's like, oh, yeah, we all did it together. And then she shows her true colors when she just shoots everybody and murders them in cold blood. And she's like, yeah, yes, the 1 million yen is mine, or whatever.
Yeah, that was a great
That was
scene.
probably the perfect example of just her character in that show.
I think, I agree. I really like Chio. I also really like Monina because she's just such a crappy person too, but she is that, like, snarky friend that everybody has. I think everybody has that one snarky friend who is just kind of brutally honest and kind of an asshole to just about everybody. I don't think everybody is quite as two-faced as Monina when it comes to it. Because Monina can get really two-faced, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, but that show's over. What's your score for it?
I'd say a 7.5 maybe. I'd say that it was still just a fun little gag show. I wouldn't say that it was as funny or as staying as Asobi, but I had a great time nonetheless, and I would not be against the second season of this. I'd like to just see more of these characters doing what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would give it I'd probably give it a 7.5.
Yeah.
I thought that Asobi Asobase was funnier.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I liked Chio too much. Like, I like Chio more than the other girls. She's just too adorable. Yeah, so 7.5, because it was a hilarious show, lovable cast, and I will be sad to see it go.
Yep.
Hopefully season 2.
Yep. Here's hoping there is a season 2.
So what's next?
All right, next up is Hanebado. All right, this show has been
sweaty.
Yeah, sweaty, and has just been an emotional roller coaster from very beginning to very end. I've loved the journey the show has placed everybody on.
Yeah, I went into it expecting, like, it's going to be like a sports drama. There's going to be some interesting moments, but they put a lot of focus on abandonment. Mm-hmm. Like, the main theme of the show was pretty much abandonment.
Yeah.
And, like, how we had Hanasaki be introduced as this, kind of sad, brooding character, and she didn't want to play badminton because her mom left her. And then we get more and more details about how crappy of a person her mom is.
And I'd like to point out that this is actually one of our mutual friends' like points of contention. He does not like that she's just a crappy person, pretty much. It feels like she's a crappy person just for the sake of being a crappy person. He felt like there was no real justification behind. It's like, oh, I recognize what I did is horrible. I don't regret it.
I like that. I like that. I don't remember. What's her name?
Uchika.
I like that Uchika sucks. She sucks, and she sticks by her guns. Mm-hmm. Like, she went back, she didn't feel guilty or anything. She kind of seems like a sociopath, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, she left her daughter because in her mind she's like, oh yes, I am leaving my daughter because it'll make her better, and she'll love badminton more, because she was like, oh, she's too attached to me.
Yeah.
That's like why she left. She didn't have to go find another daughter.
Yeah, that was horrible. Like, I think, for me, it reminds me a little bit too much of Arima Kose's mom from Your Lie in April. The only difference is Arima Kose's mom dies at the end, so he doesn't have to actually interact with her. I don't know how to really feel about her forgiving her mom loosely, I guess, in a loose sense, because I think she has, like, by definition, like, forgiveness doesn't inherently mean reconciliation. Like, that is just a thing. Forgiveness is simply the act of just saying, you know what? I'm no longer angry about this.
Yeah, I don't think that Hanasaki necessarily forgave her mom so much as Hanasaki moved on from it.
Yeah.
Like, at the end, Hanasaki talking to her mom, saying she doesn't say it's okay or what you did was fine.
Mm-hmm.
She just says, she smiles and says, "Let's play badminton sometime." And I thought that was really cool to see Hanasaki's growth at the end, because you get...
I think she gets she may never really surpass her mom in badminton. She might, but she's definitely surpassed her as a person.
Oh, yeah,
I think.
easily.
Like,
let's go back and talk about the match.
Oh,
the match between Aragaki and Hanasaki.
This was the thing I had been looking forward to the entire season.
Yeah, the matches before looked good. This one looked twice as good as any other match.
Yeah.
Like, they had more frames of animation, more reaction shots of Aragaki and Hanasaki, more sweat. Yeah. They actually had to take time to move the sweat off the court.
Yeah, Aragaki just says, "Hey, sweat."
Yeah. Yeah, just the motions were really good. And they did what I wish they did more in the matches, was they stopped to, the coach's point of view, saying, oh, they're doing it this way. It was kind of more of a classic sports anime where they explained, how they're doing their moves and kind of give you a little more detail about it, because I'm going to go on a limb and say most people who watch this show don't play badminton.
Yeah, I sure as hell don't.
It just helps you, it kind of helps you get into it a little more if you know what's going on.
Yeah. Case in point where it's kind of like that is, March Comes In Like a Lion. March Comes In Like a Lion, one of its central points is shogi. I don't know jack shit about shogi, but at the
Crazy time Japanese chess.
Yeah, exactly. But the show did such a good job of making it seem so important to the characters that you were able to get into their headspace, and that made it important to you, the viewer.
Yeah,
you might not know everything about it. They might be throwing around a bunch of jargon and stuff that you have no idea what they're talking about.
I actually understood most of. I understood pretty much the basic rules of the game by the time I finished the show. Mm-hmm. And going back to Hanebado, I pretty much knew badminton before I watched the show, but...
Yeah, badminton's a pretty standard game, though.
Yeah, it's a lot more popular in the West, so it's a lot easier to understand it. But yeah, that match was just so good. I was just in awe pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, I didn't want to, pause it or anything at all. I was just glued to my screen.
But the reason I wanted to go back to the match is because... throughout the match, we had Hanasaki going through different stages. She was going through pretty much the grieving process all at once throughout the match. She had do you remember the grieving process?
The 5 steps. I think it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance.
Yeah. So yeah, because I looked this up earlier after I saw the episode, but yeah, she starts off praying just saying, I have to do this. I have to leave my mother behind.
Yeah.
And then she starts getting upset. Oh, I'm not going to win. Mm-hmm. Well, if I can at least beat her, then I can go on with my life. Mm-hmm. And then she gets to the point where she starts getting just defeated. Aragaki's just trouncing her.
Yeah.
And she just kind of gives up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was actually a big moment when Aragaki just keeps scoring point after point after point.
You see Hanasaki barely reacting in time, and because she thinks nobody's on her side, she thinks she's all alone. Mm-hmm. And then their classmate, I don't remember her name, the brown-haired girl.
It was Elena, and then her as well. But the one who likes corn dogs.
Yeah, and she essentially just says just play.
Yeah.
Stop sulking and just try your best.
Yeah, step up already.
And then everyone, including Elena, just cheers for Hanasaki because. They just see this girl breaking pretty much on the court.
And then even Aragaki, I think what was also really cool about Aragaki during this whole match is, I liked Aragaki as a character throughout. At the beginning, she was kind of a bitch, but at the same time, we get to see her just say, it's cool to see that she harbors no ill will towards Hanasaki. She's just it's great to have a team, isn't it? Just sort of a bit of humanity, just basically somebody who is older and has been around the block a few times is actually basically being a mentor at that point.
I like how she taunts Hanasaki throughout the match. Yeah. And she's kind of pulling her more and more out of her shell, and making her. She says "There's our team out there, but in this court, it's just me and you. Mm-hmm. There's no one else. They can't touch us in here." Mm-hmm. And it's that point where Hanasaki just kind of snaps out of it. She has this determined look on her face. And
yeah, like at the very beginning, we saw what we'd seen before, like Hanasaki's like sunken in, dark eyes. And as the match progressed, her eyes like gradually just lit up.
Mhm.
And that was really cool to see.
She looks a lot older
Yeah.
when she gets like the determined, serious eyes.
Yeah. I thought I was looking at her mom for a second.
Yeah. And then it goes to Aragaki eventually winning.
Yeah.
Not without sacrifice of like she hurt her knee pretty bad.
Yeah.
Which I liked learning. That was pretty cool to learn more about. Like it was like patellar tendonitis.
Patellar tendonitis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also known as jumper's knee.
Which like she was the coach almost called her out.
Yeah. And then I want to say it was Rico who had said, "No, just let her try and finish
a little
this.
bit more time."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Aragaki eventually ends up winning, and that pretty much saves Hanasaki.
Yeah.
Because she convinces Hanasaki that you don't need to focus on your mom. You can play badminton for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the resolution is Hanasaki, like we said earlier, just moving on.
Yeah.
Just accepting that her mother did something bad, but she's not going to let it like
Rule
ruin
her
life.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. I thought, again, the match was just amazing to watch and look at, and seeing Aragaki. Another cool detail that I noticed is, like, before they're stepping out on the court and they're standing side by side, the colors of their bags, Hanasaki has like a red bag and Aragaki had a blue one. Kind of, it was just showing how they were kind of polar opposites of each other. And even in the match, they kind of bring that up, and how they played differently than they normally would, because Aragaki throughout it usually relies on like raw power and just overwhelming her opponents. Here, she was playing a lot more tricky.
Yeah, she was thinking, using her brain.
And then it had to force Hanasaki to play in a different way that she wasn't used to, which was, again, really cool to watch.
Yeah.
There's just so many good things about this final match.
The series, overall, I think had like a little bit of a slow start getting into it, but once it got into like those... The second half, and more so the last couple episodes, it was just nailed it. Like, I loved the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the series. What would you give it a score?
I'd say a 7.5, like tentative 8, because I think that there were some kind of things that they focused on that maybe they shouldn't have. Like, there were some subplots that felt out of nowhere.
Yeah, like the corn dog girl and the boy.
Yeah. But I think when the show focused on its strongest points, then it really shined. It was just really cool to watch. And the final match between Aragaki and Hanasaki being the culminating point of it all.
One of the coolest parts of this season in general.
Yeah, and just like the final, like after Aragaki gets the match point, just how like everything is silent. For, I want to say, close to 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah, and Aragaki just cries.
Yeah, you just see her face like scrunch. It's not pretty to look at either, but at that point you don't care, because it just feels so real, because it's just like, oh my god, I won.
Yeah.
And so when the show shined on its most important things, it really shined. So, but 7.5, 8 for me.
Yeah, I'd have to say probably like 7.5. Bordering on 7, because it was really good, but I think there was too many points where it didn't focus on what I wanted it to focus on for it to be like a perfect show. Like you said, when it focused on the good parts, it was good, but it
stumbled a few times.
Corn dog girl and boy, they put a little too much emphasis on that.
It would have been fine. That would have been fine if we had actually focused on those characters a little bit.
If they gave us an episode of the guy. The guys saying how they want to play after college. But they never really... I think we got like an episode early on about the girl.
Yeah, but we didn't really... Yeah, but we didn't really get much attachment to these characters beforehand, or why they should... Or why we should even be rooting for them being together, things like that. So, yeah.
So 7.5 for me.
Yep. All right, so next up.
Next up is Happy Sugar Life.
AKA, no happiness was found here today.
Yeah. That final 3 episodes picked up so fast.
Yeah, because just to preface, and the last 3 episodes were the episodes after Sato killed Shoko.
Yep.
And everything just got spiraled down from that point onwards.
It was just Sato pretty much throwing away the last of her humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Because later on it
and
shows...
dragging Chio down with her.
Yeah, exactly. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she wasn't only ruining herself, she was ruining Shio's future.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, it shows Sato walk in the room where Shoko's at, and you see her lips tremble a little bit, and she kind of clenches her hands. Like, you see a little bit of regret.
Yeah.
Kind of... It looks like she wishes she could go back and undo it.
But
and then Chio walks in the room.
Yeah, or she calls for her.
Yeah, and she kind of snaps out of it for a second. I thought that was a really good writing.
It was a shame too because I liked Shoko as a character and I wanted to see her try and pull Sato out of it. Like say, no, this is crazy. Like just stop. But
it almost felt like they were gonna, like during that episode, we talked about it a while back.
Yeah.
How the fight between them was really cool because it was just a silent, shot for shot little episode, and it almost looked like Sato kind of wavered a little bit, a few times, but in the end,
she determined she was going to do whatever she could to protect her love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was her love.
Yeah, I mean,
it was like her aunt's. Like when she goes up to her aunt, her aunt explains how her love is, and Sato's like, "No, your love is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is my love."
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. At the same time, it may be, but at the same time, I think that this whole show was just to illustrate how Sato's love is also wrong.
Yeah. I really liked that they kept the theme of everyone has a bad side throughout the entire show. We got to see, we thought like Asahi, like maybe he's the one person who doesn't. Like, maybe he is the one good person.
Like, I mean, yeah, I'd said that he seems like he's damaged and stuff like that. Maybe hard pressed to trust people, which, again, makes sense considering what he's been through. And maybe he was basically the light in the darkness. Like, we thought how he was going to basically be the hero.
The new protagonist.
Yeah.
And then...
but then he goes off the deep end.
Walking down the street, dragging a baseball bat behind.
And I was thinking...
There it is!
It's just, oh, shit. So
found his bad side.
And... he, like, immediately hits, like, Mitsuboshi in the back of the head, ties him up, and threatens to torture him. Mm-hmm. Like, basically by doing the fingernail trick.
Yeah, we learned how he did it! It actually makes sense now, how if your fingernail's long enough, then yeah, you can just push it up.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, grabbing onto it somehow and, like, ripping it off, but I learned how to
torture people with fingernails. Yeah.
This show taught us things.
Yeah. Not all of them good things, mind you. In fact, none of them good things, but yeah, we get to see he basically forces Mitsuboshi's hand into helping him because he knew that he lied and he wanted to basically he was desperate at that point. He recognized that if he didn't get to Chio then and there, she was gonna be gone forever. Mm-hmm. But I think just as Asahi and Chio's mom said, it's too late for everything.
Yeah.
I think that's just the theme of this show. It's always just too late.
Yeah, and then it got to the point where Sato decided, since she killed Shoko, like, they couldn't stay here anymore. They were going to move out to the countryside.
Find a new castle.
Yeah, and that actually brings up a point where Chio freaks out, like, gets mad at her because Sato
actually stands up for herself. And I was thinking that was a great moment on Chio's
maybe
part.
She's gonna stand up and run away.
But then
we learn why she didn't. Like, we get the flashback of how her mom just ran out, left her on the street, and ran away.
Yeah.
And that was just, like, that was so hard to watch. Especially, like, Chio's voice actress.
Yeah.
Just, like, did it so well. Did such a good job of portraying a desperate child just not wanting to be left alone.
Yeah. And the thing about Sato is she was just the person who happened to be there. Yep. She was in the right place at the right time. But in my opinion, she just happened to be the worst person to show up.
Yeah.
Like the literal worst person to show up at the right place. And then the two of them get married.
Quote unquote married.
Yeah, quote unquote married. They hold an adorable little ceremony. It's supposed to make you feel how great it is. The whole time I saw that stuff, I couldn't help but think, okay, this is just wrong.
Yeah.
It's like I cannot be happy about this because she kidnapped a girl. She kidnapped a small child.
Yep.
That's what a lot of this is. She kidnapped a small child, and then Mitsuboshi does some digging around and finds out where Sato supposedly lives, or finds out really where her aunt lives.
The worst possible person he could run into.
Yeah, and then the worst possible person. Then the last episode, they set a fire, or Sato's aunt sets a fire, and that's ultimately where it leads us to the opening of the show, where the two of them are on the roof, and then Chio pushes Sato off the roof, and they jump off together.
So I want to go back a little bit to the marriage part. That was the last part in the show where we saw the style they use, where everything's sparkling, everything's happy, there's bright colors and happy music.
Oh yeah,
that was like the last part of the show where we saw that. Everything else after that, flat colors, sad music. Or not necessarily sad music, but just it's not happy anymore.
Yeah,
that was where the illusion just pretty much shattered.
I guess that's kind of fitting, because because Sato and Chio are kind of delusional, and I think the delusion itself had broken, but for them, as long as they were together, they thought they could maintain it.
Yeah.
But the grim reality around them is no, they couldn't.
Yep. And Asahi got there. He found Chio, and he was gonna save her, but Chio says, "No, I'm not leaving Sato," which Chio's a kid. She's a kid who was abandoned, and the only thing that the only person in the world she thought who loved her was Sato. So of course she's gonna want to go with Sato, even if it means dying. And that led to, like, just my favorite scene in the show was where Chio pushes her off because they agree, like, oh, we're going to die together. And then Sato has this moment of, she realizes this is what love is. Like, she loves Chio. And then she flips over and, pretty much absorbs the impact. Saving Chio and killing herself.
Yeah. And then we get a montage of basically everybody that Sato had come in contact with and screwed the hell over. Like the girl that was obsessed with her. Like, we actually got to see her momentarily handing them their passports.
Yeah, she got passports somehow.
Which, what the fuck? How?
Oh, maybe her dad works at the airport or something.
I don't know, but we get to see her watching the news, all sad. We get to see the creepy ass teacher get arrested. We see Sato's aunt on the news saying, "Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, I burned it. Hello, hi TV."
Yeah, and then and probably the most tragic part was seeing Chio in the hospital and Asahi going to visit her while their mom waits in the parking lot, because her mom recognized, and Asahi tried to explain, recognized that what they were doing, what she did was wrong. If she could take back slapping Chio, she would have in a heartbeat.
Yeah, her reason for leaving Chio was she hit her, and she thought, if I don't leave Chio, I'm going to become like this guy.
Yeah, like her husband. Which we find out also, she poisoned her husband. Yeah, and then, but the most unsettling and kind of tragic part was basically Chio giving Sato's monologue from the beginning, pretty much. Just I don't do that stuff anymore. I found love. And her just clasping that her hair tie with the ring around it.
You see, like, in her eyes is like a picture of Sato.
I mean, trying to say that she's been reborn, so to speak, and that's
her only way to cope with it.
Yeah, but that was the most unsettling part of this series, I think. Just the ending. The ending leaves a very bitter taste in your mouth. Ironic, right?
Yeah, so bitter.
Yeah,
so bitter.
But some of the things I did not like about this series. Well, first off, I guess ratings. What would you rate this show?
That's tough.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. Not quite perfect. I think I'd give it an 8.5.
8.5, huh?
Yeah. It ended up being really good.
All right. For me, I had a lot of fun with it, and I thought it was a great show for the most part. But I'd probably rate it somewhere around a 7.5 or 8. Because I think that while there was a lot of really cool things about the show and a lot of really good direction and really good voice acting on parts of just about everybody involved. There were just some things I think were handled really sloppily. I think that Sato's aunt was, like, comically evil at times, for one thing. Like, I think the moment that made me really go, okay, what, is when she had just announced on the news, yeah, it was me. That kind of made it happen, made me think, all right, that is not the best thing. But then how they handled Mitsuboshi's arc, like with him getting abused again, it feels like they did it just out of shock value and just to kind of cement that Asahi, and just kind of to make Asahi look like a worse person at the end. It feels like it was just kind of cheap for me. Overall, like I said, I did not hate this show. And then just some characters we never really see from again, or never really see them try to screw with anything, like the teacher just kind of drops off, only to get arrested at the end, and then once again, how the fuck did this girl get passports? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I have to give it an 8.5 just because I thought the plot was super solid. Mm-hmm. It stuck, and the theming was amazing. How they just kept every character had their own little flaw, and they kept that consistent throughout the entire show. And the art design, specifically, how whenever there was a delusion, it changed to like kind of like pastels, like sparkles and everything. Everything was happy, and whenever that changed, it immediately switched. The music changed, the art changed, and they just kept the tone going so consistently throughout the show. I will agree that there was some points that it felt like, what?
They were handled kind of sloppily, almost approaching Mirai Nikki style of bad.
It was a little campy sometimes.
Yeah.
But just the consistency of the theming, the art, it almost pushed it up to like a perfect show for me. But yeah, there was a couple problems with it.
Yeah. So, don't get me wrong. I loved this show. It's probably up there as one of my favorites this season. Don't get me wrong. I'd say that it was a lot of fun and a really good show, really solid for the most part. But yeah, it had some issues for me. So that makes me say 7.5, 8. But anyway, introducing the most disappointing show of the season, Holmes of Kyoto.
Yeah. Man, those first 4 episodes were really good. That's not sarcasm. They were really good.
Yeah, they were. They were legitimately engaging.
The first little bit was introducing us to Holmes and Aoi. And Aoi had this interesting subplot of her friends that her boyfriend broke up with her and went out with her friend.
Yeah.
And then Holmes had this subplot of, that happened to me before, so I want to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
And Holmes was an interesting character. They had some little such good connections, and
they had some pretty good chemistry and bouncing off each other and help. And you're thinking to yourself, "Oh man, this is setting the precedent." Even if they don't end up together romantically, it'll be a pretty cool just seeing them basically being Holmes and Watson from the Sherlock Holmes books, because you want to see them solve mysteries together because they just work so well together.
Yeah, and that's what I wish the show was. I was hoping it was just to be a Mystery of the Week show.
Yeah, Mystery of the Week, or even every couple weeks with thrown in with a person who's like behind it all, aka his Moriarty Ensho. Yeah. We got almost none of that this season.
At episode 5, it just dove off a cliff head first.
It just went down the spiral and just got exponentially worse.
It was like it was
crappier and crappier.
It was like they went to. It was like a diving competition. They went up to the first diving board, did a sweet front flip, landed the dive perfectly. Then up to the second diving board.
They lost a little bit of their confidence, maybe sort of fumbled a little bit on the dive, but still managed, like, okay, we can manage this. And then eventually, like, they get to the top and they just freaking belly flop straight into the pool.
Oh, he's going for the flip. Oh, he's got... I'm just disappointed. I'm not even mad.
Yeah, I'm not even angry right now.
If I will give any... praise to this show is that it had me laughing from that point on.
Yeah.
Everything was a joke.
So, let's talk a little bit about the last 3 episodes. I actually want to say that as soon as I finished the show, I felt relieved. Because I was thinking, well, I no longer have this, like, clogging up my watch list. I actually can move on to other shows that are on my watch list that I haven't caught up with yet. But anyway, on to the 3 episodes. We had more bad mystery and kind of subpar romance, and then we actually had a somewhat cool episode. Like, it was actually a
Episode
really...
11, yeah.
And it was a really cool setup. The kind of murder mystery sort of deal, even though he mostly deals in antiques. But whatever, this is actually a pretty cool written mystery. It's a shame it just feels so out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was like bad episode. Kind of good episode, bad episode.
But the thing is, the other thing that kind of shot that episode in the foot is just the tone of it felt so out of left field for everything. It felt like it didn't belong in this show. It felt like it belonged in something like Holmes of Kyoto or something. I mean, not Holmes of Kyoto. Fucking Case Closed. The show gets me irate sometimes.
Yeah. And then after that interesting episode, they immediately went back to subpar romance.
Yeah.
Because God, Aoi was such an interesting character in the beginning, and they just shifted her into a girl lusting after Holmes's dick.
And then they made basically Holmes became Kirito.
Kirito, but a detective.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like that episode of SAO when he actually was trying to figure out how people were dying in a no kill zone.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm the greatest detective. I'm like Batman.
I'm so good at being a detective, but I don't want to be a detective.
Yeah. It was just... yeah. Even though it's like, you clearly have talent for this, but alright.
So before, I want to say that the beginning, they did mysteries in such a good way. They did it in a way where they walked you through Holmes's process. They sprinkled in little clues so you could figure it out yourself. And I said this before, I'll say it again. It was fun to race Holmes
against the narrative. Yeah.
It was like, oh, well, it was almost like I was playing a game watching the show, trying to figure out the mystery before he did.
Yeah, and then by the time they get to the end of the mystery, you think to yourself, okay, I have most of this figured out, but what did I miss?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I missed. That makes so much sense.
Even if you didn't figure it out before him, it still felt satisfying.
But then
they shifted to just...
He MacGuffins his way through things.
They explain... They don't put the clues in. They just explained how it happened later, and then they put in things that they didn't even show.
It's like, how could we have possibly figured this out?
It's just...
How could I have possibly predicted that? And then Ensho turned out to be one of the most disappointing rivals in it.
He was interesting in the beginning, too.
Yeah.
He was a counterfeit guy, and he was trying... It looked like he was just going to be the guy that kept trying to get counterfeits in front of Holmes' eyes.
Yeah.
To finally see if he'll slip up and not realize it's a counterfeit.
And that would have been really cool. Again, the major point of it, or at least what I thought going into this, was every episode was going to be him finding, in Holmes' own words, finding every counterfeit that Ensho has ever made and exposing it. That would have been cool. Mm-hmm. Them going around the town finding out what stuff was counterfeit, how it was put there, how it was switched. Things like that. Like Ensho, kind of like a cat and mouse game between Holmes and Ensho. That would have been a great show.
Yeah, And I also think they should have stretched out the resolving of Aoi's relationship thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have talked about that as much in the beginning. It felt like that was once they did that, they didn't really have a lot of places for Aoi to go.
That was her arc. I mean,
they should have made that near the end, the last couple episodes maybe.
Yeah, or even still, figuring, or actually delving into, the thing about her is she's supposed to have a natural eye when it comes to this stuff. It would have been nice to see her actually honing that, even showing how Holmes trains her and stuff like that.
Yeah, instead they just showed
Holmes taught me all about this.
Yeah, when they wanted to show off Aoi, they just put her in a competition situation. I think they did that 2 or 3 times.
It was always a competition.
Yeah, they were Aoi figured it out. She's smart.
It was never her actually trying to solve the mysteries and stuff on her own either.
Yeah, it's they ran out of mystery, so they're just well, I guess we'll just make more competitions to make the quote unquote plot go along.
Yeah, it felt. And the last episode, oh my god, the last episode. The last episode focuses around another similar situation that we'd seen in what was a pretty good episode. When we find out in the episode early on when the dad was trying to pass off his inheritance to his sons and left clues and stuff in the paintings, it was kind of similar to that, but instead it was, okay, who's going to become the successor of my household? Whoever can find the most valuable treasure is going to be the actual successor. Interesting setup, but really freaking dumb.
So they recycled the plot for the girl who cheated on him. Mm-hmm. They recycled the plot for a competition multiple times, and they recycled the plot for that. Like, this is the most recycled plots I've seen in one 12-episode span ever.
Yeah.
It's like they got someone to write the first 4 episodes, and then that guy just had to leave. So they're like, well, we already started, we have to finish it.
So, and I also want to say about this last episode, Ensho shows up again, and he looks exactly like himself, except he's wearing a hat. Yeah, like, epic disguise, guy. Next thing you know, you'll be showing up in a pair of Marcho whatever.
Marcho Grumps. Grump, something like that, yeah. I was expecting to show up and be like, my name is...
Groucho Marx.
Yeah, Groucho Marx.
I can't think.
I was kind of expecting him to show up like, my name is, Bencho. I am Bencho, the not counterfeiter.
I am totally not a counterfeiter. Yeah. Like, that would have actually also been really cool if Ensho was... Because of his ability to counterfeit and stuff like that, he was also somehow like a brilliant master of disguise. Mm-hmm. That would have been really cool. Like, it would have been a little bit outlandish, but at the same time, it would have been cool to watch because, again, him being a counterfeiter, being able to fake stuff, you think he might be able to fake like expressions, maybe imitate people's like vocal patterns and stuff like that. That would have been really cool.
Yeah,
like just him showing up and trying to figure out, oh wait, where's Ensho in all this?
We could go on all day saying, oh, this show could have been better.
Yeah.
So, what's your score?
3.
3.
Yeah. 3.
Mine is a 2.
Oh man,
I think we explained everything already. Like,
yeah. I don't think. Yeah, I started up with this show. Started up watching this show with the best of, with the highest of hopes, and it ended up being one of the biggest disappointments. Yeah. So, there's always at least one every season, isn't there?
Next show, My Hero Academia Season 3. It was specifically the second half, right?
Yeah, the second half.
Yeah. It started off with the kidnapping?
What? The kidnapping? No, I don't think so. I think the kidnapping happened, like, somewhere towards the middle, but,
Oh, yeah, no, the all-for-one, one-for-all fight.
Yes.
How this part started.
The United States of Smash!
Oh my god, that fight was amazing.
Yeah, that was so cool to watch. And then we got to see all of that. We got to see Deku developing his shoot style. Mm-hmm. And realizing, oh hey, I can actually kick!
Yeah, because he doesn't want to put more strain on his arms anymore.
Yeah. And then also, we get to see more of that. We get to see the provisional license exam, which was really cool.
The introduction of Shinketsu High.
Yep. And
all those characters.
Yeah, a lot of those characters. We get to see Cammy, I believe her name is.
Yeah, who's actually Toga.
Yeah. Spoiler warning!
I mean, everyone's probably seen it by now. Yeah, we get to see that whole thing. And then the scene with... what was it? Iyase?
Yeah, I think
Iyase
so.
and Todoroki.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were where Gang Orca fought them, and then they had this moment of, like, self-realization, how they had to work together to kind of fix their problems.
Yep. I think the best thing about this season, though, aside from the All-for-One All Might fight, Bakugo Deku fight.
Oh, yeah. There's so much emotion in that fight.
That was such a good fight, and it gave one of the better redemption arcs, I think, to a character I think I'd seen in a long time.
Redemption for Bakugo?
Yeah, for Bakugo.
Okay.
Because, I'll preface this, and this is probably a controversial opinion, I know, I like Bakugo as a character. I've liked him since the beginning. I thought he was a complete asshole at the beginning, and thought he had issues. But
I doubt that's a controversial opinion.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people like Bakugo.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, you tell somebody you like Bakugo, you'll have immediately people jumping down your throat saying, oh, but he's such a shit person! And I was thinking to myself, yeah, but at the same time, I got him. He was a kid who was posturing and stuff like that. I got all that. And he was taking out his frustrations and stuff on the person who he thought looked down on him all this time. Mm-hmm. Someone who he thought had no earthly reason to look down on him.
Yeah, I loved just Bakugo venting and pretty much telling Deku that the reason, like, he's the reason, Bakugo thinks that he's the reason that All Might lost his powers.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't get kidnapped, then Bakugo, or All Might wouldn't have had to fight, and then he would still have his powers.
That whole episode actually reminds me quite a bit, and Bakugo's arc really reminds me a lot of Good Will Hunting. I don't know if you've ever seen Good Will Hunting.
No.
All right, it's a great movie, and it's not related to anime, but I think it relates here because the whole point of Will Hunting as a character was that he was he was a very smart, very gifted kid, but he was also violent and stuff because of his background, and he pushed away a lot of people because he was a cocky, scared shitless kid who was just afraid of being alone and afraid of being abandoned. And we get to slowly see him, we get to see that kind of break down as he's interacting with his therapist. And again, watch the movie. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let us know. But, basically, it just boils down to, I'd seen where Bakugo's arc was going since the beginning, and it was just a huge payoff for me to actually see him kind of break down and kind of show some humanity.
Yeah, shows a little bit of his vulnerability.
Yeah, because we get to see, and then the two of them actually being proper rivals. That was so good. Like, because now from this point forward, they actually have a somewhat healthy relationship.
Yeah, I also want to point out the Deku Bakugo fight. Just the Sakuga there.
Oh my god!
Oh man, that specifically the spin kick that Deku does. Like they animate like every frame of him just like juking and spinning and kicking Bakugo like in the top of the head. Just, it's so good. It was like the Attack on Titan stuff.
Yeah, I really loved it. I really loved that episode, and the last couple episodes we got to see the big three of which what was his name? I keep Mirio.
Yeah,
he's such a good character.
Yeah, so reading that point, I've read ahead of the manga. They got his personality and voice actor like so spot on. Mm-hmm. Like when he fights everybody and he then punches everyone, beats them up, and then like
power.
So like power. Like that's exactly what I pictured in my head when I was reading the manga.
Oh my god, it was he was just he was a fun character, and just explaining how he's basically sort of like Deku. He's a little bit like Deku's mirror, I guess. Or at least very similar to Deku in the regard that, yes, Deku has a power that absolutely destroys him or hurts him, but through hard work, dedication, and perseverance, he could make it his own and make it work the best for him. And it's similar to Mirio, because Mirio's quirk is, actually when you think about it, terrifying.
Yeah.
If he lets himself fully permeate, he just falls into the ground.
Yeah. Like, if he could conceivably fall forever.
Yeah.
If he kept his quirk on.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as he explained, was terrifying when he first started using it.
Because he couldn't see anything, he couldn't hear anything. All he could really feel was just the sensation of falling.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and then he could selectively permeate his stuff. And just being able to use that quirk in such a creative way, and just all the amount of time, effort, and dedication. Like, I have to slip through a wall, but I have to like alter trajectories and stuff in my body as I'm doing it. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah, I think prediction is what he said was his major training point, was being able to predict how he'd go through objects and how his opponents would react and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that was all really cool. And the best part about it is he looks like a muscular Tintin.
Yeah. That's what I was pointing out.
He looks like Tintin.
Yeah. But that's what people pointed out when the manga came out, too.
Yeah.
The fight against the entirety of Class 1A was awesome.
My god.
Or he's just... I love how multiple times throughout the fight, he's just like, my winky. I think that's the exact word they use for the subtitle or whatever. Because his clothes pop off, because he doesn't have full control.
And then he's like flashing some of the girls, like he flashes Jiro and she's all freaking out.
Also, he does not discriminate against genders.
Yeah.
He punched everyone in the stomach.
Yeah, punched everyone in the stomach. Sounds like another male character that I think of from another fighting show, Toma, actually. Yeah. He punches everybody.
Yeah, equal opportunity punches.
Yep, equal opportunity punches. But I think that this show has just delivered more of the same. Not everybody thinks that this season is apparently good. Probably some people out there who are complaining. It's like, it's such a muddled mess of a show and stuff like that. I won't even watch season 4 when it comes out. Which, by the way, there's going to be a season 4 to the surprise of literally nobody.
The season 4 of Hero Academia was announced, and then the sun came up the next day.
Yeah, who'd have thought, huh? In other news, people die.
Yeah.
That's death, taxes. The three things in life that can be absolutely predicted: death, taxes, and the fourth season of Hero Academia.
Yeah, it's just it hasn't dropped in quality at all.
I don't think so at all. I think
it's gotten better.
Yeah,
honestly.
And once again, I think that Bakugo finally getting his redemption and actually getting to see the person that he was meant to be is probably the high point for me. I think that's the point that really cemented it, because I've always seen Bakugo as like a young version of Vegeta or Hiei. Somebody who was just kind of an asshole, ridiculously prideful.
With less murderous tendencies.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He did threaten to blow up somebody's head on more than one occasion.
He never killed anybody, though.
Yeah. But you get my point, is that Hiei and Vegeta were both ridiculously prideful. They were anti-heroes. They started off as just outright villains. I think that this was the kind of arc, and he had a very similar arc to them. So I could see where they were going with him from the very beginning. And I was happy to finally see it resolve the way that it did. Because, again, Bakugo is probably my favorite character, or at least one of them.
So, what would you review this show?
I'd say a 9. I would say a 9, because even if it is like relatively standard shonen affair, it just does everything so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, animation is really top notch, voice acting is really good. The characters are a lot of fun. Had like I said, one of the best redemption arcs I've seen in a shonen series, and just the resolution of such a long-standing conflict, and just seeing these two characters grow.
The secret shared between two becomes a secret shared between three.
Exactly. It has been a one hell of a ride this season, and yeah, I'm super excited for season 4. So 9 out of 10 for me.
I would give it a 10.
Really?
Yep, I gave it 10 before. I could still keep giving it a 10. It's perfect in my opinion. Like, it's just like the perfect analogy I've came up with before. It's a grilled cheese sandwich, but it's the best goddamn grilled cheese sandwich I've ever had in my entire life. It takes the shonen tropes and just continues to do them so well. I've done multiple times where I try to think of complaints about the show. I can't think of any. Like, I have no complaints about the show. Just the action's top notch, the comedy's good, the writing of the hero's journey is just done so well for not only Deku, but everyone in Class 1A.
Yeah, everybody.
And barring Mineta, maybe.
Yeah.
But the author said he's there for a joke. Like, he's the joke character.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, that being said, I'd like to see more.
I'd like to see Mineta improve as well.
Yeah.
Will he be redeemed as well as Bakugo? No, he won't.
Yeah.
But at least in the episode, I want to say in season 2, where we actually see a little bit more into Mineta's mind and what he wants to be a hero so he can be popular and stuff like that. That's a reasonable, relatable thing. So, who knows? Maybe we might see more of it. Maybe if he tones down the perviness.
So, until next season.
Yep, until next season.
2 more seasons.
Yeah, it's probably going to be in spring of next year.
So, what's next?
Next up is Overlord III.
We're the bad guys!
Yep, we are, in case that wasn't obvious, we are evil.
Yeah, I pointed out before, like, it seems that Ainz is slowly flipping more into a monster.
Yeah.
And this was proven.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before he killed a bunch of people at once, but never quite this many.
Yeah.
He killed 70,000 people with a single spell.
And then that was only part 1 of said spell.
Yeah.
The next part of said spell was even more terrifying. Almost had completely wiped out the entirety of the kingdom's army. Alright, so a little bit of breakdown and understand context for this. Ever since episode 9, the Emperor met up with Ainz and had forged an alliance with him. But really, he was trying to supersede him and try to get an alliance against the newly crowned Sorcerer King Angolmois. And he didn't want to directly make an alliance. He just wanted to set up the situation to where people would make an alliance against Ainz. It's a really complicated plan, guys. But anyway, so he plans the yearly invasion of Irantel, and so the king responds in kind. He makes his oldest son go out to Carne Village to see what's actually going on there. Like, hoping to gather information on Angolmois, because Ainz had direct contact with those people. But then, when they try to attack the village, Henry tries to run away and summons an entire horde of goblins.
Yeah.
So many goblins. Like, she summoned, like, her initial flute only summoned, like, a handful, like, of at least 20.
Mm-hmm.
This one summoned 500 or 5,000 goblins.
Yeah. I want to go back to earlier on when Henry was... When she had when they were when she was in the village with the goblins. And there was a moment where, like, something was flying at the goblin's head, and Henry goes, duck. And he shows, like, a flash of white light.
Mm-hmm.
And then the goblin ducks, like, immediately.
Mm.
Like, I thought that she had some kind of special powers before. This kind of makes me think more that she has that, too.
Yeah. And Ainz even points that out, because he was, like, completely and totally surprised after she blew the horn. His face just like, what?
Yeah. Where did this army of goblins come from?
Yeah, and he even explains that the flute should only summon, like, a 20 or so low-leveled goblins, but then it summoned an entire army of magic casters and a bombardment squad, an archery squad, a paladin squad, a freaking group of assassins. And a goblin strategist.
Yeah.
A freaking strategist.
Yeah, like a Three Kingdoms ass.
Yeah.
Strategist. So, I think, like, it might just boil down to she has, like, a perfect charisma score or something.
I think what it boiled down to is Ainz had pointed out that maybe the effects of it have changed under once a person fulfills a certain set of criteria, which Henry has probably met that criteria.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
It might also just been like, if this item is used by a leader, then it does something different.
A leader who's already in command of a crapload of goblins, apparently, and who already commands the respect of a bunch of them. Goblins, ogres, whatever.
Yeah.
But they completely decimate Henry's new goblin army completely decimates the king's troops, only for them to escape by running to their tail between their legs, where Lupus Regina shows up with a handful of others, and they massacre what's left of them.
Yep.
The next episode is when we get to see the kingdom and the Empire's forces are squaring off against each other, and the kingdom's getting ready to charge, and they make the condition of the Empire's army will not charge until you cast a high-level magic spell.
That's the signal. Yeah.
Yep. And Ainz pulls out this ridiculously overpowered item, which is actually an H.P. Lovecraft reference. I told you a little bit about this. Is to summon the god of dark fertility, Shub-Niggurath, which is one of the three outer gods from H.P. Lovecraft stories, which is the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young. Which, holy shit, are these 1,000 young terrifying?
I mean, there was only 5 of them.
I mean, but still,
yeah.
there was only 5 of them, but they were freaking terrifying.
I loved them.
They made goat noises the whole time. They were just trouncing about.
Yeah, they're just like prancing, like running around, stomping on people, eating them. Just going, meh, meh.
It was, yeah.
And he calls them like
baby goats,
the adorable children.
Yeah, the adorable baby goats.
Yep.
And meanwhile, the Empire is completely terrified.
Yeah, where before the Emperor had this idea of like, he's strong, but we can beat him. And then as soon as he saw that, like,
or heard about it later.
Yeah, as soon as he heard about it,
he just kind of clutched his hand and his face in his hand, and just started laughing.
Yeah,
like he had been completely broken. Like
he realized how wrong he was to plot against this guy.
Yeah.
When he could literally just cast one spell and wipe out an entire army.
Exactly. But then we get to see one of the coolest, albeit one of the more anticlimactic moments, between Ainz and Gazef Stronov.
Oh, yeah. I really like that guy.
I liked Stronov. I liked him too. I like all 3 of those characters. I like Stronov, Brain, and Climb. All 3 of them were in this scene, but Stronov challenges Ainz to a duel, which he knows he's going to lose. Like, absolutely knows it. It is revealed, though, that it is revealed by Ainz himself, though, after he inspects the sword that Stronov has. It's one of the few weapons that is capable of hurting him. Yeah,
and he said that fulfills the basic requirement for this duel. Which I'm assuming the basic requirement was that he could actually hurt him. Yeah. Like that it wouldn't just be entirely one-sided, even if it was anyways.
Yep. And then we get to see more of we get to see that resolve, and basically, Ainz, all it revolves down to is Ainz snapping his fingers, stopping time, going up, touching him on the back, basically DOing this.
Yeah. And I love when he says, you should really prepare for time spells in every duel.
Yeah, and then he just goes up and taps him on the back, casts True Death, he dies.
Yep, and he can't be resurrected, because that was one of his requests.
Yeah, and and that was pretty sad. But then we get to see the army of the Sorcerer King marching in on Irantel, with Albedo leading the charge. Somebody throws a little kid throws a rock at one of the Death Knights, and she is immediately saying, "I'm going to kill you," even though it's
How dare you accost Lord Ainz?
Yeah. And then we get to see somehow, and like in the exact same place, Momo and the Adventurer and Ainz, like in the same place.
Yeah, because it was
Pandora's actor.
It was probably Pandora's actor, because you don't actually hear Ainz talk.
Yeah.
There. You see him lean and whisper into Albedo's ear.
Yep.
But he basically shows up, says that, no, if you kill these people, if you try to touch these people, I will cut your heads off. Mm-hmm. And then it basically boils down to Momon becoming like the
deterrent,
the security chief of the city.
Yeah,
giving them pretty much almost entire control over that entire city.
But also serving as a little bit of a deterrent and a little bit of a peace of mind for the people of Irantel. Yeah, because as Ainz has established, he doesn't want to kill as many people as possible. Like, he'd rather it not come to that. But
he said you'll get better results if you don't try to rule.
Yeah,
with
he doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to rule with fear and despair. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to. But at the same time, killing 70,000 people in an instant sure as hell points to the contrary.
He didn't think about killing them. He only thought about, oh man, I was able to summon 5. Wow.
Yeah. And then he comes in riding in on one of those things, by the way. He just floats up. Oh my god. But anyway, so that's pretty much enough about this, about these last few episodes. It seems like they are also baiting more for a sequel. Mm-hmm. And because it ends with on the end title card saying, "And so the story continues." So I'm thinking there's going to be an Overlord Season 4 eventually.
Yeah, probably. There's plenty more source material to work with.
Yeah. I'd love to see more of it.
Yeah, me too.
The season has continued to be more Overlord stuff. But with one big problem. Bad CG.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Some of the CG in these past few episodes were horrible.
Yeah.
Like the same models of soldiers getting trampled over left and right.
It was a little lazy.
It just looks so bad and so poorly integrated. And it's a shame because Studio Madhouse produces high quality work when they actually want to. But it felt like this was just kind of lazily handled. Maybe it was, I don't know, with the Death Knights I could sort of understand it because they are supposed to look sort of otherworldly and sort of jarring to look at. I get that, but at the same time, just all these soldiers just dying. That just looked like really bad models of the same people.
Yeah, like, I understand it would be a lot of work to do all that.
But
I mean, just like draw them like with less detail or something. It would probably look better than just all the CG.
Yeah, I don't know. That is my one big complaint with this show. What would you rate it, though?
I would give Overlord Season 3 a 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah, because I love the plot. I love the slow descent into being a monster of Ainz. But like you said, the CG kind of takes you out of it sometimes. I'm not 100% invested in, like... So I really like the characters, but I'm not 100% invested in the plot or the path that Ainz is going down. It's like he's becoming a monster and he's slowly killing more and more people. But I feel like I'm not sure where I'm supposed to stand on the show because he's a good guy sometimes and he's a bad guy sometimes. And
like his goal at the end of the day is fascinating. He just wants to find other Yggdrasil players because he's convinced that there are people who, like him, are out there somewhere. And I'm convinced that there are. I imagine that there might be some out there. Hopefully next season we actually get to see more former Yggdrasil players actually being heroes.
I kind of wish that they actually would have touched on that more by now.
Yeah.
It's been 3 seasons and him talking about his friends or...
Yeah, and we still haven't... Yeah, there are still so many mysteries about this world that have been left unanswered. Like, we're slowly starting to get more of it. Like, we're seeing that more of the common folk, that some of the NPCs have, like, some unique skills and unique criteria and different ways of interacting with the world, but there is just so much left unanswered. So I'd probably have to give this a 7.5, too, because I've had a lot of fun with this show, and... While there are definitely some engaging things about that, and all the characters in Nazarick are all fascinating and a lot of fun to watch, and some of the subplots, like the Goblin subplot at the beginning of this season was just really fun. Like, it reminded me so much of the Lizard Men from Season 2, which a lot of people might seem to complain about that. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a great... Yeah, I love the Lizard Men. It was, again, Krush Lulu is adorable.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just... Sometimes it's hard to tell where the show's going.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's going to be interesting seeing where it goes from this point forward, though.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep watching it.
I will, too, if there's an Overlord 4. So, next up is Revue Starlight, yes?
Yep.
All right, so Revue Starlight. This has been a really fun journey. A journey with a very nice conclusion.
Mm-hmm. I watched the show going through it, loving the how it kind of split. It was like a split show almost. It felt like how they have the
daily life,
the daily high school life, and their training and trying really hard to be showgirls. And then the magical girl battle afterwards, where there's always a different song they're performing, and I loved that touch.
Yeah. I really liked that. I really liked that too. What I liked was how the series progressively grabbed me, because at first I was thinking, okay, this show's fun. It's definitely a spectacle. I was not expecting a lot of substance behind it. It definitely delivered a lot more substance than I was expecting at the beginning.
The plot in the beginning was definitely a little shallow.
Yeah.
It looked like it was just kind of a spectacle show. Like, oh, look at these pretty colors.
Yeah,
also, the characters are kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then they, after like the first 3 episodes, they slowly started doing like character episodes of introducing each member of the cast.
Yeah, and seeing like all the struggles and stuff they were going through, and like showing like how they're getting over them. And that was all a lot of fun to watch. We got to see some really cool standalone episodes, like seeing Mihiru's obsession with Karin resolve actually was really cool.
Oh, yeah, that was one of my favorite fights.
Yeah.
The quote-unquote fights.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Because
the review of Jealousy. That's probably the only one I remember by name. Because that was the one that stood out the absolute most to me.
Yeah. Because it was less a fight and more just Karin running away from Mihiru.
Yeah.
And then in the background you see people squabbling also.
Yeah.
Fitting the
jealousy theme.
The jealousy theme. Yeah, and then you had a lot of the stage just
being childish.
Yeah. And then back when they went backstage, and
everything's all dark. That's when they actually started to do a little bit more fighting.
No, like when they went behind the big
yeah,
there was like a big display, and then they jumped behind it, and then them going backstage was when they revealed their true feelings.
Yeah,
which is a pretty cool analogy.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But yeah, then around the time where they did Dai Banana's episode, where they revealed the Madoka plot.
Yeah, she's basically just putting everybody in through a time loop. Mm-hmm. She was this story's version of Homura, pretty much.
Yeah,
which Hikari looks more like Homura, but whatever.
And yeah, that was really cool how they finally brought that, because before it was mostly just explaining the characters and explaining their motivations for being showgirls.
This was basically Nana basically explaining why she was doing exactly what she was doing. She was just afraid of everybody losing their shine, kind of having to face the grim reality of growing up and losing their shine. Yeah,
and at the same time, she didn't want to lose hers.
Yeah,
so she just every time she won, she just decided to repeat the year.
Yep,
that was her Starlight. She performed it every year, and I think she made it a different every once in a while just to kind of change things up. Probably to keep herself sane, partly.
Yeah.
And then it moved on to Karin and Hikari's bout with each other, trying to... Because Hikari... It gave Hikari's backstory of she did a review before, a big review competition before.
On the stage of Fate.
Yeah.
And she lost, but something that kind of grounded her and made her not lose all of her shine, which was the promise she made to Karen when they were children. But then the last couple episodes, the second to last episode was the 2-on-2 fight, which was my least favorite fight of this series.
It was so disappointing. They used so many still frames. Boring shots.
Yeah, and it didn't really feel like a lot had really gone into that episode as much.
It seemed like the episode was there just to have... They're like, well, we need Karen and Hikari to win, so we'll just there's the fight. There you go. They won.
Yeah. And
it seemed like they really wanted to focus on the fight between Karen and Hikari.
Yeah, this felt like definitely a filler fight. Mm-hmm. And we did get to see a little bit of resolution between like the subplot between between Tendo and Claudine, like a little bit of their like rivalry and stuff like that, which was cool, but it took a sideline.
Yeah, everything except for the fight. Mm-hmm. Except for that 2-on-2 fight was good that episode.
Yeah.
Because I think it was that episode where they also just immediately went into the 1-on-1 between
Karen and Hikari cutting off Karen's button, basically immediately making her the winner, and then making her wish, which was, I don't require any shine for this new stage of fate. I'm going to take it on all by myself.
Yeah. So it's Hikari basically did what Daiba did, but took it a step further. Mm-hmm. Whereas Daiba kept everyone doing the show over and over again. Hikari wanted everyone to move on and not be trapped on the stage of fate. So she's decided to be trapped herself.
Yep. And which leads into episode 11, which was a great episode. The episode was basically just the entire year without Hikari. Mm-hmm. Like months go by.
Yeah, the style was done so well. It's like you said earlier, it's how to do time skips right.
Yeah.
Whereas Holmes of Kyoto just randomly time skipped, and there's nothing to look forward to.
And the time skips might have been a little bit jarring, which time skips usually are when they flash forward. But when you realize why they're doing them, and just kind of seeing like the gradual descent into like people getting upset, or just how life goes on in this case, but Karen just getting progressively more and more upset about this. Like, where is she?
Yeah, and then you see the punctuation of it when she finally finds Hikari's phone. Mm-hmm. And then she looks at it and she sees every message that she sent to her. Mm-hmm. Like, because she sent her a text like every day for like a year. Mm-hmm. Just showing her commitment to it. And I think the rest of the cast was kind of starting to move on.
But she wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it moves on where she went down. She found the elevator again, and she resolved to go save Hikari. And it went to one of the coolest scenes, in my opinion, was when she was walking down the staircase.
Yeah.
And it showed kind of everybody... It was like the everybody patting you on the back thing to get you to go forward. Like, I always love a scene like that. It was everybody like realizing who Hikari was, and they wanted to get her back. So they kind of cheered Karen on to go down into the tower. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where and then the final episode was basically just the final fight and resolution between Hikari and Karen. Which the fight itself was pretty impressive to look at, and it ended, I think, a little bit anticlimactically.
What do you mean?
Because at the very end, like, they go into rush, and then they both just kind of seem to relent. Like, and then it just kind of like they're just laying down on the stage. Like, it doesn't really show like any like grand clash or anything. They kind of just stop.
Well, no, I guess
that kind of fits.
I think the point was that it was the final part of Karen's version of Starlight. Mm-hmm. How she wanted to free... God, what was her name?
I know. It's Flora and Claire.
Yeah, she wanted to free, I think it was Claire, from the tower. Mm-hmm. And it was, I think, the part where Karen cuts off Hikari's button was, like, Flora accepting... Like, because the story, I think, was Flora saying, like, no, don't come here. I'm here so you can all be free.
Yeah.
And it was essentially Flora like accepting, okay, you saved me. Like, thank you. Mm-hmm. And then they lay down together and they have this moment, which I think is really nice.
All right, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. But
one of my favorite parts, I think it was the last episode, is when the giraffe turns to the screen.
Oh my god!
And he says, why are you watching? You're here for the exact same reason I am. To see a new stage, to see an interesting show. And I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense. That's why he's here.
He's just, the giraffe is just the audience.
Yeah, and it didn't feel MacGuffined or thrown in last minute, because that's pretty much what he's been saying the whole series, is he just wants to see a new stage.
Yep.
And that's why we're watching. We want to see a new stage, a cool show.
Yep, and that's ultimately what we got in the end, because at the very ending, they do the 100th Seisho Festival of Starlight.
Yeah, we finally got to see Starlight in its entirety, pretty much.
Yeah.
At the end right there.
And all the girls just kind of seem to enjoy the performance, and they all continue to study at the academy, it seems.
Yeah, I think there's a perfect way to end the series, and I don't want to see any more of it.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
That was like, there's some shows that kind of go on too long sometimes. I think this show ended at the perfect moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense to me. It was a fun show. I was not expecting to like it as much as I ended up at the end. Because at first I was thinking to myself, all right, this show's entertaining. It's fun. I don't really expect much of it substantially, though.
Yeah, I remember, like, as the episode slowly went on, you kind of were, like, leaning forward a little more, getting a little more interested in the plot.
It's like, okay, you have my attention.
Yeah. Oh, there's plot.
Yeah.
Not just magical girl opera battles.
But anyway, so with all that being said, what would you rate this?
I would rate the show probably a 7.
A 7?
A solid 7.
I would also rate it a solid 7, because while it was definitely a lot of fun, I think that it had a little bit more of a slow start, which kind of hampered it.
Also, the episode with, who was it, Karuko and Futaba?
Yes.
They had a really interesting episode, and then they did like the exact same thing with Claudine and Tendo later on, and it was just less interesting.
Yeah, it did. And also, about Karuko, we can both collectively agree that Karuko is shit, right?
Yeah, she's a brat.
Yeah, she was definitely my least favorite character in the show. I mean, and I guess I can kind of understand why they didn't change her, which is fine.
Yeah, I like her for the same reason that I liked Uchika in Hanebado. I like her that she stuck to her guns. Mm-hmm. Like, she wasn't as shitty, not even anywhere close, but she still... Like, she got better, she realized how much of an asshole she was, and she kind of just tried to work with people more. Yeah. But in the end of the day, she's still a brat.
Yeah, she is still a brat. At least she acknowledges she's a brat, and she still has time to grow, is the thing. But yeah, I'd say that this was a solid 7 for pretty much the same reasons I'd said before. It's kind of a slow start, but progressively more engaging, and it was just a fun magical girl show, which I was not expecting it to be. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
So... we'll move on to our last show.
Steins Gate Zero.
It all tied in! I knew it!
Alright. So, one of the best moments, one of my favorite tropes in any anime is when they play the theme song during a really cool moment.
Play the opening.
Play the OP during a really cool moment. Steins Gate Zero did this twice. In the episode when Okabe finally resolves to try and start pursuing Steins Gate again, and then he's talking to Mayuri and Suzuha when they're getting ready to go in the time machine, the intro to Steins Gate Zero appears. It starts playing. But then, in the last episode of Steins Gate Zero, when Mayuri goes back in time and basically slaps Okabe in the face, you hear the intro from the first series.
Yeah, it's I saw a comment on Reddit that was my favorite thing was, she slapped him so hard he went back to the first opening. Which, I mean, I'm pretty sure the unanimous decision is that the first opening is a lot better than the second opening.
Yeah.
It's so much more just fitting and hyped so that, especially just after not hearing it for so long, and then suddenly playing it, it's just like, they're doing the thing! Like, there's no moment in any show where it's not hyped to play the opening.
Yeah, right? It's so good. And I loved it. I love it when they do, like, kind of homages to that. When they play, like, when they did the OP for Steins Gate Zero, I really like that because I actually like the OP to Steins Gate Zero.
Yeah, me too.
A lot. It's a good song. I think it's a little bit more desperate and dark, which kind of fits the tone of Steins Gate Zero as a series. But the first OP is just amazing. But So when they finally played the OP to the original Steins Gate, it reminded me a lot of Shakugan Nishana a little bit.
Never seen it.
Okay. In Shakugan Nishana Season 3, in the final fight between the main characters, they play the intro from the first season of Shauna.
Big callback.
Yeah, it was a huge callback. And I remember seeing that and going, "Oh my god, this is so awesome!"
Yeah, it just invokes like a feeling of childhood joy.
Yeah, it is as you said, it is never not hype when they do that.
It also fit really well because when they played it, it was during the part where they were looping or revealing the whole reason for Steins Gate Zero to exist this season. So in the beginning, there was some talk saying that, it's just a side series.
Yeah, I thought it was just a side series.
It's just a side story. But I immediately thought, I was like, no, I don't think they would do that. The studio doesn't seem like they would just make a random side story. It has to tie in somehow. And then they showed the part where they were recording the video to send back in time. It showed confident future Okabe. After they went through everything that they went through, they just went to the future. He was confident. They were working on stuff. I think that was when he went in the future was the timeline where Mayuri and Suzuha went back in time.
I think so.
That was when Operation Arclight was a success to get Okabe back on his feet and actually work
towards making Steins Gate.
In that he did work even into when the World War happened. Like he was, and that was when they were shooting the video, and it was cool because you saw Iajo there, you saw Daru there, you saw everyone there. And even Kaguri. Yeah. Ferris was like moving around to get like good lighting, like taking the camera. and Daru was like, "Isn't this embarrassing?" Or no, Iajo was like, "Isn't this embarrassing?" And Daru's like, "Yeah." But when he's doing that, that's when he's at his best.
Yeah. And then he steps into the the time machine to do one of the most awesome entrances ever. He goes back to pick up Mayuri and Suzuha in like 30,000 BC or something.
They're just sitting there, and Suzuha kind of like looks at Mayuri and there's like a sad smile where they kind of resolve like, well, this is our fate now. We're trapped here forever, and they kind of just like accept that.
And then they look in the distance, and then they start to light up, and then they start to run, and you see Hokabe just kind of like walking towards them, all cool. His lab coat blowing in the wind. He's just like, yo.
You see absolute just relief on Suzuha and Mayuri's face.
I have no complaints where this series went. I loved the original Steins Gate. This makes me want to go back and watch the original Steins Gate. Because I remembered a lot of these characters, but I had watched Steins Gate before I even knew that Steins Gate Zero was coming out. And it had been like maybe a year or two, so some of these characters and plot lines and stuff were sort of a little bit faded. So this kind of makes me want to go back and watch the original and see this all as one complete story. Because now that we've established, it is all one complete story.
Yeah, it'd probably be fun just to rewatch everything. Watch Steins Gate and then Steins Gate Zero.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was... Oh, man. We watched Steins Gate Zero, the finale, and I think we watched the finale of like something else as well in one sitting.
I think so, yeah.
What was it? So we watched Happy Sugar Life.
Oh, yeah.
So we watched the finale for Steins Gate Zero and Happy Sugar Life and Revue Starlight in one sitting. So, like, by the end of that, I was just like, my heart, I can't take it anymore. I'm so emotionally drained.
Yeah, because, I mean, for different reasons. Because Happy Sugar Life ended in complete and total despair. Mm-hmm. Like, everything is infinitely worse now, which is the mark of a tragedy. But then with Steins Gate Zero, everything it was... I think it's my favorite type of ending. Everything kind of seems a little bleak and a little bit hard, but everybody's working towards it, and there's still that glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. It was mostly hopeful.
It was the happy ending.
It was.
It led the show back onto the path of what I assume actually is Steins Gate. Mm-hmm. Before I thought, like halfway through Steins Gate Zero, I thought that, well, maybe in Steins Gate Zero they're going to find Steins Gate, and maybe the ending of the first game that wasn't actually Steins Gate. Uh-huh. But now that I see this, I think that actually is. Like, that's the timeline where he bumps into Kurisu on the street and then they recognize each other. Yeah. Like, and then Mayuri's also alive, and I'm assuming they probably stop World War III.
Yep. But I guess all I mean by that is I usually like endings where there is a little bit of bittersweetness to them. Like there's
not just a happy ending.
Yeah, it isn't just downright happy. And I think the reason why I think this is sort of bittersweet, I guess my second favorite type of ending is after like putting your characters through basic literal hell. And
you go on the journey with them.
Yeah. And it's sort of like I've often heard of this as the Don Bluth approach, which Don Bluth is an animator who made like Secrets of Nim and stuff like that. It's basically like going on this hellish journey, like that's completely and totally traumatic and stuff, and pretty serious for like kids films and stuff like that, especially Secrets of Nim. But the characters end up better and stronger for it. Like they're still happy at the end, and I think those are some of my favorite endings too, because literally, after putting them up through all this hardship and all this strife, it's just a relief to see them.
Yeah, that's probably the best word for it, is a relief.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like you go through the entire process of suffering with them, like, watching each cliffhanger at the end of each episode where just something bad happens, you just kind of feel the despair with them, and then when they finally reach their goal, it's just like, we made it!
Yeah.
It's over!
And you really felt that with Steins Gate Zero. From the beginning, it looked like it was just going to be bleak. But it was just good to see Okabe, like, back on his feet again.
Oh my god, when the scene where Okabe puts his lab coat back on and does his, like, pose and...
Yeah.
Oh my god, like, when we watched that episode, I was just like, shaking back and forth. I was like, finally, yes, the payoff!
Yep. It was a lot of fun to watch. I loved this show. But anyway, if I had to give it a rating, I'd have to say I'd give it a 9.5. Because I really dig like somewhat psychological shows like this, and actually and time travel mystery. Seeing Okabe going through all this grief and actually then resolving to try and make things better. It was a really huge payoff. And I really liked all the characters and the animation. Studio White Fox doing what they do best. I
would give it a 10. I'd put it on the same level as Hiraka. It's a show where I can think of no complaints about it.
All right.
Like, I maybe I'm a little lenient when it comes to giving 10s, but if I think a show is critically perfect, if I think it's perfect, I'm going to give it a 10. Like and Steins Gate Zero just... especially with the ending where they perfectly tied it into the original series. I think they nailed it perfectly. I loved everything about it.
Yeah, for me, I don't know, like, when it comes to giving something 10s, like, I'm usually pretty stingy with 10s. Like, there are very little things I find to be absolutely perfect, and it has nothing to do with, like, critical stuff. I remember watching in a video, I want to say it was a Giguk video. Like, he saw like the perfect anime. It was like shortly after he watched Your Name, and it was basically perfection is something that you can never really completely describe. It's like a feeling. Like, it could be like critically bad, but at the same, or not necessarily, or critically good, but not perfect in most people's eyes. But for you, it is perfect.
Yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about. I think I saw that video.
Yeah, it was, and for me, there are very few things that really kind of capture that feeling of perfection for me.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit more stingy when it comes to giving 10s, and there have been huge, like, I loved Steins Gate Zero, and I probably will gladly revisit it in the future someday, but for me, it's not one of those things that I think will leave a completely lasting impact on me, like something like, the one thing I probably have, as far as anime goes, that I will give a perfect 10 is probably, End of Evangelion. That, I absolutely love that movie. I think for me, that's a 10 for me.
Okay. So, I've never seen it myself.
But yeah, it's a trip, and it's definitely not for everybody, but for me, it was exactly what I wanted and or needed at that point in my life. So for me, it was perfect.
All right. So with that, that's all the shows that we watched some shows on the side throughout the season, but that's all the shows
that we talked about consistently.
Yeah, through this whole season. It was pretty much a great season, barring Holmes of Kyoto.
Yeah, barring Holmes of Kyoto. Which I think I kind of want to start taking our friend's approach and try to find at least one show that we know is going to be bad.
Just trash on at least one show.
So I don't know. We'll consider doing that in the future, but for now, let's just talk about like what our favorite show of the season was.
Next up is our favorite openings.
Oh, favorite openings.
What's your favorite? What is your favorite opening of the season?
For me, I'd have to probably say it might be either between Banana Fish or Steins Gate Zero, because with Steins Gate Zero, I said, and especially in the variations, because like in the second version of the Steins Gate Zero opening, there are some slight changes. Like instead of in part one, where you see Okabe like reaching his hand up toward the sky and then just kind of surrendering, just sort of like looking depressed, you see like him like clenching his hand in determination. So you kind of gradually get to see that. You get to see like his resolve growing throughout the series, and that was all really rewarding. Plus, I like the song because it's because it's kind of dark and kind of frantic, which is fitting for the show.
Mm-hmm.
But then Banana Fish, I like a lot of the imagery. Like one of my favorite scenes in the OP for that is when Ash is like kind of standing in like this fire all around him, and he sees like the images of Arthur, Yutlung, and then Papadino standing in front of him. That was a really cool effect. But those are probably my favorite openings.
Well, you gotta pick one.
Okay, that's fair. Of those two, probably Banana Fish, because like the song, like the imagery, and it's definitely something I find myself humming every once in a while.
Yeah, it's the like kind of 90s grungy.
Yeah, I really like that. So yeah, I really like it. So that's my favorite OP. Yours?
Mine was a really close match between Happy Sugar Life and Hanebado.
Oh yeah,
because Happy Sugar Life was super stylish. Like they didn't use any just flat clips from the show, which I think most shows do, because I think it's hard to make a completely original opening. It takes a lot of work. But they got a really cool song for it. All the imagery of like the Monogatari-esque kind of paper mache aesthetic.
It looks like something from Studio Shaft.
Yeah,
but it isn't.
And I liked how they mashed up a lot of like the lip flaps for the characters when the singing was happening, and they had a lot of imagery of the candy. Yeah, which was pretty much the central theme throughout the show of just Sato needing something sweet all the time. Yeah, and the jar. Oh yeah, the broken jar, which isn't something they explain until later on. Yeah, I love going back and watching an opening to be able to appreciate it more.
I love being able to do that too. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and for Hanebado, it was just the song. I loved the song. The song is
great. It's so catchy.
Yeah, and the imagery of how they set up the first part of like the volleys. Yeah, and you see the different flashes between the different characters. It's something I didn't notice at first that you pointed out. Is how it was like a first half of a scene, and then later on at the end, follow-through. Yeah, during the chorus, they played the follow-through of that. And just like the watercolors. Oh, yeah. It's so good. It's my favorite. That's my favorite. Hanebado is my favorite opening.
The watercolors really are stylish and definitely give the show like some oomph to it. It definitely and again, some of the imagery, like I'd say that talking about that opening, I like the bit when Hanasaki's going up to the net, and then it shows like all the things like on the other side of the net that are troubling her.
Yeah, that's good symbolism.
Yeah. Also, especially the line they give at the end, which ties more into that, which is when you step up to the net, what you see on the other side of the net is a reflection of yourself. Yeah, and that was a really cool little moment. But that OP was great. Yeah, but it wasn't my favorite.
So that's our favorite openings. Now we're going to move on to our next section of the easily solvable worst show of the season.
Holmes of Kyoto.
Yeah, Holmes of Kyoto, easily.
I guess it's no mystery that it's Holmes of Kyoto. We've just been ragging on it this whole past few weeks, but. Yeah, I think we don't really need to go too much more into detail on why we disliked it.
All right, next part. What was, in your opinion, the best show of the season? All right, your favorite show.
My favorite show this season. Man, that actually is a really tough one because there was a lot of good shows. I might have to give it to Banana Fish because I really like. And Happy Sugar Life being close behind it because Happy Sugar Life was a better psychological drama like thriller than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be kind of trashy, which there were some moments that kind of were, but overall, for me, it has to be Banana Fish, just because I'm a sucker for adrenaline, like crime shows and stuff like that. So that's probably it for me.
My favorite, Hiroaka.
Hiroaka.
Followed closely by Revue Starlight.
Yes.
But just, God, I want to give my favorite show to a new show, but I like Hiroaka too much. It's too good.
Hiroaka is too good.
Like, just the fight scenes, like, the scene where everyone's flying through the sky, and Kirishima like holds his hand out to Bakugo.
Yeah.
And then I forget the guy's name. The Udapon Cube guy. You see like just for that part, his animation kicks in and Bakugo just like doesn't even look up. He just looks down. His hand glows and he just launches like a rocket into the sky. That seems so good. And then the fight between Deku and Bakugo, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
And the All Might One for All fight.
Yes,
with the scene where
United States of Smash.
Well, my favorite scene in that fight is where All Might is going to punch him with one hand, and you see because he's got like no power left. You see him switch his power from one arm into his other arm. Was that the United States of Smash?
I believe it was.
Yeah, and then he just punches him with all he has, knocks him out,
like takes off his gas mask,
and you hear the One for All guy. I forget his name.
We just call him One for All.
You hear him thinking like, "Oh, that was tricky," and what it was this whole series. We have All Might teaching Deku, and it was like, and All Might's usually a straightforward fighter, and then you see this moment where he learned a move from Deku, pretty much, to be tricky and switch it up a little bit, and
which he needed to at that point. If he didn't, he would have died.
Exactly, and Hiroaka, favorite show.
That I cannot argue. I can't necessarily argue with that because Hiroaka was a great show, and I mean, I really want the 4th season to come out hopefully soon because I've been really enjoying every season of this. Like ever since I saw it back in season 1 and seeing like the characters progressively grow, I've been just enthralled by it. It definitely does have a Saturday morning cartoon type of feel.
So, biggest surprise of the season. What was yours?
Biggest surprise of this. Biggest surprise, like, are we just talking about biggest shock in general?
No, just what were you most surprised about this season?
I guess if we're gonna kind of keeping in theme, I was surprised that Revue Starlight turned out to be as good as it ended up being.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I thought Revue Starlight was definitely going to be a spectacle over substance type show. Not inherently bad, but nothing amazing. But it progressively enthralled me, and I was surprised by that. And it made me appreciate the show a lot more, which I like. I like when a show does that and throws me for a loop. So that's me. Just the entirety of Revue Starlight actually managing to grab me the way it did. That was a delightful surprise. Yourself?
The entirety of Happy Sugar Life. So, reading like the synopsis for Happy Sugar Life and watching the like previews of it, I thought this is going to be a trashy show. It's not going to have like I thought it was going to look kind of interesting, but at the end of the day, I thought it was just kind of going to be.
You were expecting it to be sort of like a fun garbage.
Yeah, like she'd go around and kill people, and she'd she's like, oh, I got to protect my little girl. Didn't expect psychological horror, drama, suspense. And,
dealing with, like, things like abandonment and...
Yeah. It was probably one of the things I was looking forward to most every week, just in terms of, like, I have to know what happens next!
Yeah, and for this show, I hesitate to say that it's like a wreck on the highway. Sometimes you don't want to look, you just got to, though. Yeah. Like, you're excited, because I think people are excited to see, like, wrecks on the highway. That's kind of terrible to say, but you're just like, wait, what's happening? I gotta see this.
Time to rubberneck and slow everyone down.
Yeah, I usually try to avoid doing that, but...
So, this is kind of a moot point, but biggest disappointment of the season?
Again, Holmes of Kyoto.
Yeah, Episode 5 Holmes of Kyoto. Both of us agreed.
Yeah, everything from that point forward just turned out to be really disappointing.
It's so disappointing that I locked myself into this show, like, thinking... Oh, it's such an interesting process. I can't wait to see where the rest of it goes.
Which we gave up stuff like Cells at Work and Angels of Death for this. Yeah. Which I actually heard that Angel of Death was a pretty fun like B horror movie type feel.
The first 3 episodes didn't pull me in.
Yeah,
but like after I watched the first 4 episodes, I was at a point where like the 5th episode was bad, and I was like, well, maybe it'll get better.
Nope.
It's still looking bad, but maybe it'll get better. And then by like the 7th or 8th episode, I was like, well, I mean, I've already missed my stop. I might as well stay on the train until it hits the last station.
Yeah, pretty much. But I don't regret watching.
No, I don't either. It was a fun romp through garbage.
Sometimes you do need a show that is garbage. I think in hindsight, a good sign that this show might have not been all that great was again our friend saying that that anytime he tried to watch an episode, he fell asleep. All right, biggest disappointment. Everything past episode 5 of Holmes of Kyoto.
Yeah. And with that, that's going to close the chapter on summer 2018's anime season. Overall, great season.
Yeah.
I loved most everything in it. And we're going into the season of sequels.
Yep, season of sequels.
Which we talked about in a preview. It was like, there's so much stuff that we don't have room for because there's so many sequels.
Yeah. Although a lot of the sequels that are coming out are sequels of stuff that look really interesting, like Index Season 3 and stuff like that. So I have no complaints. So going forward, we're going to start talking about episode or week 1 rather of fall 2018. Our cutoff point for when a week concludes is on Saturdays.
Saturday at like 11:59.
Yes. That is our cutoff point to where we will basically consider, okay, this was this week's episodes.
Yep.
Going forward, we are going to catch up on the rest of the stuff that aired this week. I think a lot of stuff of it came out today, actually.
Don't time date the episode. You're ruining the magic.
Sorry, but
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
But a lot of that. So we're going to be recording our week 1 of fall 2018 here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has been our first really time making anything on the internet, making videos.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of a learning process in the beginning. We had problems with the microphone, and it was coming out with bad quality. So I ended up just getting another microphone, so we'd actually have enough 3D quality for the entire room.
Yeah,
but it was a lot of fun, and I thank you anyone who's actually watched these episodes.
Thanks to anybody who actually sat down to bother and listen to us ramble about stupid Japanese cartoons.
So yeah, here's looking forward to many more seasons of our podcast. Hope we get more people to join us. If you have any comments on how we did things or any shows you want us to take a look at that you think are particularly good for the season, go ahead and leave a comment below.
Or even if there's stuff you want us, or even if there's older stuff that you recommend that you want us to talk about, we'll probably flashback sections.
We'll probably might even do side episodes of older seasons if we want to do that. But for now, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Timesink Anime Podcast Summer 2018 Season Review. We will see you guys soon talking about the first week of fall 2018.
Yep. It's been a blast, guys. See you next time.